How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
is the end. There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? Oh, I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final scene. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the dystopia. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the dystopia. This is the final scene of
Who the fuck is Karlyn? She's just some sweet lady. She's like in a knitting. She does like a knitting stream. She's like a knitting YouTuber. She does knitting.
Can we grow up a little bit and
Alt
not
Girl
be
sent $200.
retarded?
Have you seen the
Please.
work of Karlyn Borysenko? Anti-commie cult leader and is obsessed with looking at what actual far-left communists are talking about and organizing today, infiltrating them. They infiltrated the universities, schools, media. She has the receipts to back it up. Primary source evidence. Infestation is dire and she calls Republicans idiots eating slop. Agree.
Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah, oh, I know Karlyn B. She's solid. She's funny. I
The
like
Great
her.
Noticer sent $200.
Literally.
So
not
it's,
Ian.
it's not a because I haven't dangled my junk into the combat zone on purpose to get some camera footage, but that's the big part of what's the
Is
problem.
that what you call reporting?
Go
and live
under if
streaming?
you're going to do it.
Yes,
Go
you're-
undercover. Otherwise, you're wearing a hunk of meat in a lion's den. Nick Shirley, I love you. Take care of yourself, man. Karlyn Borysenko went undercover. Do stuff like that. Like if you want to expose this thing, don't pariah, please.
But Ian, here's and I agree with you to an extent.
I watch these streams, and I've been watching a self-professed fascist named Karlyn, who drinks and basically roasts these live streams. But weirdly, she has apparently embedded herself with Antifa before, and so it's such a funny stream because
So they tolerate her?
oh no, not anymore. She no. She's like, I mean, I don't know if she's trolling or not, but on her stream, she's like, I am a fascist.
Right.
So she's proudly proclaiming she's a fascist. I don't know how much of that is trolling, how much of it is real, but conservatives who are drawn to her stream will say things like, these people are funded by George Soros. And it's the funniest thing because she gets so mad. And she's like, get off fucking Fox News. Stop watching that shit. It's all wrong. Do these people look funded? Do these people look like they have money? They're not funded. It's so, and I guess her bigger point is by saying these are funded agitators and not saying what they actually are, which is anti-capitalist revolutionaries, you dilute what's really happening. Because what's really happening, according to her, and I think a fair amount of people, is that the economy is so fucked. The middle class is diminishing so much. The cost of living is so high that this is the perfect soil you need if you wanted communism to grow anywhere.
And I've learned a lot from Karlyn Borysenko, who goes in undercover with the left. And I've figured out from looking at her work, like when I first saw her stuff, I was like, oh, she knows what she's talking about. I need to like connect with her. And she actually, the first time I got assaulted in 2025, followed me and sent me messages, and she checked on me for months, just privately. It was so nice to have somebody like, are you okay? But I could tell she knew what she was talking about, and I subscribe to her. I look at all her stuff. I've learned so much, and I thought I knew a lot. I've learned so much.
What's up, everyone? What's up? Belated start to the stream because a couple hours ago, I got a message from a producer for Harrison Smith, and she said, Karlyn, can you come on the show tomorrow? And I said, no, I can't because I'm going to be on an airplane to go to Wisconsin tomorrow. And I said, but I can do Friday. And she said, okay, we can't do Friday. How about we do an hour from now? How about you just come on in an hour? And so I was about ready. You guys should have seen me. I had spent the day out with Victor. We got lunch. We did some errands because Wednesday is Victor's day off, one of his days off. And so I was like hanging out with my husband, and we just gotten home. I was like, I need a shower. I looked like a drowned rat because it's raining in New Hampshire. I was like, I'm going to go take a shower. And literally, as I am naked in my bathroom, texting with Harrison Smith's producer, and she's like, can you come on the show in an hour? And I was like, you're goddamn right. I can come on the show in an hour. You're absolutely right. That could happen. So actually the timing for the shower couldn't have been better. And thank God my husband and I got home early and I was able to take the shower before going on the interwebs with the gentleman and the scholar Harrison Smith. And we're so proud of Harrison for pronouncing my name correctly. Can we get a round of W's in the chat? Harrison Smith not only has me on and admits I am the only person actually covering what is going on in Madison, Wisconsin, but as a bonus, as the cherry on top, Harrison Smith pronounced my name correctly. And so kudos to you, good sir. It was a great talk as always. Listen, I love it when Harrison has me on his show because Harrison Smith knows more than most people. And you guys know I don't give out compliments unless there's a damn good reason. Harrison Smith knows more than like the vast majority of people that we talk to about the left. And so he is able to ask good questions. Most of the people who interview me, and I don't mean any offense by this because I do appreciate it when people interview me and they're genuinely interested in having a conversation about what I do. Most people who interview me don't know enough to know what questions to ask. Harrison Smith asks really good, really nuanced questions that are very, very fun for me to answer. And so I love it every single time that I get a chance to chat with him because I just know it's going to be a good interview. Did you guys enjoy it? For people who watched it, one in the chat if you thought I kicked ass in the interview I just did with Harrison Smith. 2 in the chat if you thought it sucked. Those are your only options. Either I kicked ass and I was amazing and I looked really thin and awesome, or 2, it sucked and it was a big waste of time. Those are your only 2 options. Those are your only 2 options. Well, we'll get it clipped and it'll go up tomorrow. Like, listen, I'm going to be on an airplane tomorrow for most of the day. So I don't know if I'm going to stream later. I may stream once I get to the hotel. But as you guys know, I'm getting on an airplane tomorrow and I am spending the weekend in Madison, Wisconsin, and probably in some other local areas as well, looking around and checking some stuff out. And I'm going to go to Madison and I'm going to see what's happening for myself. Listen, although I do a lot of stuff on the internet, and obviously there's a lot of leftist trainings that we do on the internet, there is nothing like going in person and seeing for yourself what is happening on the ground. And so over the next several days, I do hope to bring you guys unique video. I will not be live streaming from the protest site. I just don't do that. It's way too complicated. I do take video and I upload it basically as soon as I can. So I try to get as much good video as I can, not only if there's like controversy and fights going on and stuff like that, but also of the entire protest scene. I want to show you guys what it's like inside the encampment. I want to show you what propaganda is being handed out. I want to show you what the graffiti looks like. I want to show you what the leftists are doing. And listen, I really do try as much as I can to cover things honestly, to put them in their full context and stuff like that. So I am hoping to make a lot of content over the next several days in Madison. I will be coming back on Monday. So our schedule is this. Tomorrow I am traveling out there. And by the way, I am not going undercover, just so we're clear. I would not announce it on the internet if I was going undercover. I do not plan to be in a disguise. And this is a little bit of an experiment to see how the left handles me, to be honest. It's a little bit of an experiment. And I will have security with me. I have been speaking to security professionals in Madison because I know people were worried about me. I will have someone with me. And the reason it is you guys were super generous in funding the Karlyn Security Fund yesterday. And we've already got some donations today. Now, I will say security is very, very expensive. We're talking like four figures here. This is a very expensive thing for me to have someone literally following me around for, many, many, many hours. And so if people want to continue to donate to the Karlyn Needs a Security Detail on Madison Fund, please feel free to do so. Cynthia, the queen, the goddess, 20 gifted channel memberships. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Everyone, green squares in the chat for our queen, Cynthia. I love you. I appreciate you, Cynthia. Thank you so much. But not to be outdone, we've got 7 lilies with the $50 that came in before I went live. Thank you so much, my friend. And fucking Trendolin, $300 Trendolin. Get ready for some fun. My son and I have curated a great list of things to watch. Some may even be educational. Trendolin, if you could text me those things, if you could actually send me a text message so I have it saved in my phone, and that way, maybe I can even watch them in Madison, Trendolin. Maybe I can even watch one in Madison. I do want to watch the Nick Fuentes Hunter Biden interview at some point, too. Thank you, Trendolin. Very, very generous. Even though you're going to try to torture me, I do very much appreciate it. So thank you, Trendolin, for that. Now, guys, we have to kind of jump right into things. We are going to be watching today the governor's debate in Wisconsin that happened yesterday, because it has a DSA candidate in it named Francesca Hong, and she actually might win the Democratic nomination for governor of Wisconsin. And so I want to watch this debate. Chicken Spawn, thank you for being a member of the channel for 9 months. I was absent for a while, but back now. I'm sorry to hear about your dad, bro. I'm really sorry about that. Love to you and your family. If you ever met him, you would have loved him. My dog. Oh, I'm so sorry about your dog. Oh, that might even be more heartbreaking than the dad. No, I'm sure they're both heartbreaking, but I would be particularly devastated about my dog if I was you. But I'm sure, I know you. I'm not trying to make light of your father's death or anything, but that's really tough, bro. And I so appreciate the support. Cynthia with another 20. What can I say, Cynthia? You do, you're so generous, and I'm humbled by your generosity. W's to the queen in the chat. We also got Goro in with 5 gifted channel memberships over on Rumble. Thank you so much, Goro, for that. I so appreciate it. W's to you, good sir. Dan Vicious, you'll need to add Matt Walsh's. What did Matt Walsh say about me? What did Matt Walsh say? Did Matt Walsh say something about me that I don't know about? Oh, God. Oh, God, that's terrifying. That's actually terrifying. But guys, guess what? I have a special surprise. I have a surprise because of how much I love you guys and I want you to be happy. Who wants to watch a live DSA meeting in 5 minutes? Who wants to watch a live, real-time DSA meeting in 5 minutes? One in the chat if you want to watch the live DSA meeting that starts in 4 minutes now. 2 in the chat if you think that sounds like a big waste of time. Does anyone want to watch a live in real time DSA meeting? And then we will go and watch that debate with Francesca Hong for Wisconsin governor. Whoa, Matt Walsh praised my coverage of the Madison stuff. Have we entered the fucking Twilight Zone? Matt Walsh praised my coverage of the Madison stuff? Can someone please find me that clip? Can someone please... Have we just... let's go. Have we just entered into an alternate universe where Matt Walsh is praising my work? I could not be more shocked. I seriously could not be more shocked. I could not be more shocked. When can I play today's interview? I'll make sure it's on the channel tomorrow, Derpy Dan. I'll make a clip of it tonight. Yo! Rare Matt Walsh W. Rare Matt. Hey, maybe Matt Walsh is coming around. Listen, I always said I would work with anyone. I will work with Matt Walsh if Matt Walsh wants to stop stealing my work and taking credit for it like he did years ago and then giving me shit on the internet. W's to you, MW. I appreciate that. Listen, if Matt Walsh wants to play nicely with me, I'll play nicely with Matt Walsh. I don't give a fuck. I truly don't, guys. Like, listen, whatever internet beefs I've had with people, I will move on and stop giving you shit. This is for everyone on the internet who hates me. If you just start taking my fucking work seriously and stop acting like unhinged retards and making shit up and lying about me and stealing my stuff and not giving me credit, if you just act like normal fucking human beings and agree that we have a bigger fucking problem in the world than interpersonal conflict, I will work with anyone on the left if they want to stop behaving like retards and start hinging into reality. Because I'm an actual fucking adult. But if you don't want to work with me and you just want to be dicks, I will continue to shit talk you on the internet, and that's just going to be the way it goes. Anyway, we're going to watch a live DSA meeting. No big deal. One moment, please. We have to be waiting to be let into the meeting. No one tell anyone about this. No one tweet this. No one post this. This is super secret, guys. If snitches get stitches, okay? This is a spy stream. This is a spy stream, so we're watching a live training. Did I misspeak about the left versus the right? Obviously, you knew what I meant. Thank you for the $10. Guys, I will not be speaking over the stream once this starts. This is a live infiltration. Okay, and so once it starts, I will not be speaking over it. If you send in super chats or channel memberships, I thank you preemptively, and I will honor you and thank you after we get done recording the meeting. But I do not speak over the live meetings when we're recording them because it's my recording too, okay? It's our fucking recording. In fact, I should probably take the chat off the screen just so we have a clean recording. We'll change that to spy stream. And we are just waiting for the meeting to start, guys. Please mount the like button if you would be so kind. Okay, they're getting started soon. Does the DSA support gun control? No, I don't. I've never heard them talk about it, so I don't think they really care about it. It's not one of their core issues, honestly. Yeah, I don't even know how to fucking work a soundboard, so, you know, whatever. That might be... I actually think I do have a soundboard somewhere. I just don't know how to work it, so... So, you're just gonna have to deal with it. I'm old. I don't know how to use technology. Everyone's just gonna have to survive. I'm still better at technology than socialists. Reagan, I'm going to send you that money. Don't worry about it. I haven't reached out to you and told you that yet, so I'm telling you live on the internet. I am going to send you the money to sign up for StreamYard. Don't fucking worry about it. If you want to go and record all the leftist meetings to your heart's content, I will give you the money to make sure you have that membership. That's what happens when I have valuable people in my community, guys, like Reagan, who has earned her fucking stripes. You want to do shit? I will make sure you can do shit. StreamYard is easy is the thing. StreamYard may not be the best thing, but StreamYard is easy. Yeah, I know you'll use it wisely. I know. I got you, Reagan. Come on. I got you. You want to... Reagan just goes to leftist... Reagan is getting this present because she just goes to leftist meetings all the time. And I was like, Reagan, why aren't you recording them?
Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight. Spooky, scary skeletons speak with such a screech. You'll shake and shudder in surprise when you hear these zombies shriek. We're so sorry, skeletons, you're so misunderstood. You only want to socialize, but I don't think we should. A spooky, scary skeleton shouts startling, shrilly screams.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We are going to be getting started very soon. We're very excited to have you all here today to talk about all of the different things that the media is saying about DSA, demystifying it, and hearing from Tori and Oliver. Sit tight. We'll be getting started very, very soon. Enjoy the music. Sit back, relax, and we will get to our main show in just a minute.
So unsafe, it's semi-serious. Spooky, scary skeletons are silly all the same. They'll smile and scramble slowly by and drive you so insane. Sticks and stones will break your bones, they seldom let you snooze. Spooky, scary skeletons will wake you with a
For those of you who just joined, thank you so much for being here. We're very excited to have you. Sit back, relax. We'll be getting started in just a few minutes. We'll be doing some live reacts to Fox News bits. We'll be hearing from Tori about all of the different ways that people are trying to scare folks about socialism, but the ways we impact it is really practical and sensible and popular. And then after that, we will hit the dialer. So get comfortable, grab a glass of water. We still got a couple minutes before we really get going, and we're very excited to have you.
You only want to socialize, but I don't think we should. A spooky, scary skeleton shouts startling, shrilly screams. They'll sneak from their sarcophagus and just won't leave you be. The bags of bones seem so unsafe, it's semi-serious. Spooky, scary skeletons are silly all the same. Smile, scramble slowly by and drive you so insane. Sticks and stones will break your bones, they seldom let you snooze. Spooky, scary skeletons will wake you with a
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Chunpreet. I am one of the steering committee members of DSA's National Electoral Commission. I'm also a member of Seattle DSA, and we are so excited to have you here today to talk about demystifying DSA. Many of you know that DSA just had an incredibly successful May and June primary cycles. Rep Rab from Philly DSA kicked it off with our big wins just in May, and then most recently in June, we had 3 huge wins in New York with Daria Liza and Claire Valdez, and then finally capping it off at the end of June with a huge win for Malat Kiros in Denver. We are sending more and more socialists to Congress. Though that being said, it is still kind of a lonely place for socialists in DC. We want to grow that block. And right now we've got 3 great socialists on the slate: Donovan McKinney, Cori Bush, and Oliver Larkin. And today and over the course of this next week, we're going to need your help to get them over the finish line and grow our socialist bloc and presence in the halls of Congress. Now, today's call is focused on demystifying DSA, and that is because many of you know that because of how all these big wins, there has been a huge focus on DSA in the national media, and especially on Fox News and from the Trump administration. They cannot stop talking about us. You can see headline after headline, video after video, YouTube thumbnails with scary titles, with big all capital letters, and they are trying to, unleash another Red Scare bonanza. But we know that socialism is sensible, it's practical, and it's popular, and that is why our candidates are winning. That is why the establishment media is so confused. And we are here today to talk a little bit about some of those misconceptions, dispel some of those myths, and have a little bit of fun while we're doing it as well. Now, before we get going, there are 2 ways you can help. Before we even make dials today, before you make dials hopefully later on this weekend, there are 2 big ways you can help. And first of all, that is by donating to our slate. Your socialist cash can help take out the capitalist trash. Right now, we've got Oliver Larkin, Donovan McKinney, and Cori Bush all on the slate. And all of their opponents, Wesley Bell, Jared Moskowitz, Sri Thanadar, are all taking tons of AIPAC money. And we know that we need your small dollar donations to help get them over the finish line. And without that small dollar backing, AIPAC can basically pick these seats for themselves, and we don't want to let that happen. So we're going to send that link in the chat. Just make sure that I think we should have one of our co-hosts sending the link in the chat. And we also have this QR code up here. We are going to take it down very soon. But if you cannot donate, that's totally okay. You can always share the link with a friend, a comrade in your chapter Slacks, Signals, Discords. Any way you can help out, this is going to go a long way. And it's also going to help out Donovan McKinney, who's not here today and also needs some of your help. The second way that you can help out is you can join DSA. We need you. These campaigns are not all about the candidates. They are about the volunteers and the members that are helping build a party of organizers and working people to fight back against capitalism and AIPAC. And we want you to join the party. We want you to join DSA. We're also going to send that link in the chat. If you're already a member of DSA, but you have a friend, a family member that you want to get to join DSA, get them to join. This is such a huge part of our work, which is building this mass member organization and building power that is independent of corporate PAC money, the Democratic establishment, and whatnot. So we would love to have you donate, and we would love to have you join us in DSA and help build the party. Okay, so now I'd like to introduce our congressional candidates. First of all, I'd like to introduce Oliver Larkin. Oliver, are you ready to go?
Yes, I am, Chanpreet.
Take it away.
All right. Good evening. Good afternoon, comrades. Oliver Larkin here, coming to you from South Florida, from Florida's 25th Congressional District. I'm a proud Democratic Socialist, member of Broward DSA, been a DSA member since 2020, and DSA really gave me the language to describe my political philosophy. So I'm running in the primary on August 18th, 20 days away, against Jared Moskowitz, AIPAC-backed, the self-described twice-appointed Ron DeSantis Democrat, the only Democrat in our state delegation to vote for Trump's pro-ICE Lake and Riley Act, the first Democrat to join DOJ. And we're running on a bold universal platform of Medicare for all, universal child care, paid family and medical leave, ending U.S. military aid to Israel, ending our support for the genocide and occupation in the Middle East, in Palestine. So without saying too much more, because I know we've got a big night ahead of us, We are sending all of our love and support and solidarity to Representative Cori Bush in Missouri and Donovan McKinney, our comrade up in Michigan. Let's get 2 more wins on the board on Tuesday. I know we've got a lot to cover, so I will leave it there, but so excited, so proud to be joining you all. Just cannot thank you all enough so much for all of the support. You're really making it possible that democratic socialism is gaining steam all across the country, including in South Florida, in one of the hotbeds of what AIPAC would say is a third rail of American politics. We're breaking down that third rail, and we're showing that there's one majority no matter where you go in the United States of America, and that is the working class, and that is who the Democratic Socialists of America is here to serve and to represent and to fight for in Congress, and we're proud to be doing that with this campaign. Thank you, Chanpreet. Thank you, NEC. Take it away from here.
Thank you, Oliver. I'm gonna hand it over to Cori Bush. Cori, if you're ready to hop on.
Okay, there we go. Hi everyone. Thank you. I couldn't get on at first, but glad to be here. Thank you all for hosting. And look, 6 days away from my election, 6 days away from Donovan's election. And you all, we're going to do this. Like, this is us. This is us. We're going to do this. Thank you, Oliver, for the love. Like, the time is now and the moment is now. So many of us, we teed this up for us to be where we are right now. Unintentionally, we didn't know what was happening back then. We were just doing the work, making sure that human rights were prioritized, making sure that this movement that we're starting was one that would actually save lives. And in the midst of trying to save lives, a movement came from it. People have been able to be elected because we all stood our ground. We stood on our values and our principles, and we were loud about it. We pushed. We used moxie and courage and social media and our voices in many ways. We put our bodies on the line, and now we're here, and we were able to do it because of the people who are on this call right now, because we don't have to do this alone. Oliver isn't doing it alone. I'm not doing it alone. Donovan's not doing it alone. If we had to do it alone, we still would. We still would. But you know how much harder it would be? So having, like-minded folks, having DSA to stand and to hold our backs up when we get tired, to stand alongside us as we do this work. And then also at times to be in front of us saying, hey, we'll take it because you need a break, or we'll do the thing, we'll make the calls because you need to be knocking doors, or we'll help raise money because we know that it's a little tough for you right now because you're so deep in the house parties and all of the other things. We know it, so we got you. This is how we win. And you all remember this. When we win, when the three of us win these seats, what does that do for the group that's watching now? What does that do for the folks that are saying, well, I don't know, like, was it lightning striking, or is this really a movement where we can get more people in these seats like them? Is it something that I can do? There are people on this call that's wondering, am I next? Should I be next? Is this thing real? Well, let me tell you this. We'll go in and hold the door open. I did it the last time. We'll go in and hold the door open for the next. So let's get these wins. Let's get this done on our day, on Oliver's day. Let's get this done so that we can go in and show millionaires at the door that they the decision who our elected representatives are, regardless of what community you live in, red or blue. We don't care. We're standing strong, and we're saying when it's a genocide, we'll call it out. When it's apartheid, we'll call it out. If it's poverty, we'll call it out. If it's white supremacy, we'll call it out. Whatever the problem is, we'll go to the root and we'll uproot it. So thank you all so much. Let's win.
Thank you so much, Cori. Thank you so much, Oliver, for being here. Everyone is really pumped. I totally agree. Like, winning these three races can go so far in helping us show that this is not just an aberration. This is a real deal movement. And that's also, again, the reason why we're seeing Fox News and all of these media outlets be so almost confused about what's going on. And that brings us to our topic today, which is we're going to demystify DSA a little bit, and we're going to have a little bit of fun while we're doing it. I'm going to actually hit record real quick because we're going to record this part and we're going to have some fun talking about what's going on with Fox News. Let me make sure that we have the setup.
Recording in progress.
For our co-hosts, can you try to spotlight Corey and Oliver? Can we try to see if that works? If we can spotlight both of them. Can we spotlight two people? No. Oh, we can add spotlight. Perfect. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is how this is gonna work. So Corey and Oliver, I think someone has prepped you a little bit for this, but what we're gonna do is we are gonna live show some Fox News segments. And your job is when you want to say something, when you want to interject, just say pause and give us your thoughts. Talk about, feel free to be like making fun of it or just pushing back on some of the things that are being said on the media. This is a really important opportunity for us to kind of take control of the narrative and remind folks that, socialism, it's popular, it's sensible, it's practical. Or you can also just wait till the clip's over and give us your thoughts. And then after that, we'll do a little bit of Q&A on what it means to normalize socialism in your districts and communities. Sound good? All right. Okay, cool. Let me share my screen. We are going to start with a segment from Kayleigh McEnany on Fox News talking about some very, very scary things like not having bills. And by the way, someone in the chat, let me know if the audio needs changing or anything like that. But we'll take it. We'll let Kayleigh McEnany take it away from here. Corey, Oliver, just let me know when you want to jump in.
New Workers Deserve More program yesterday with a set of radical new policies that would gut the Constitution, radically transform life in the United States. The document pitches an idyllic future under socialism. Quote, imagine taking a day off from work in a future without capitalism. You work as much as you are able and no more than needed, and you would control your own labor and see it going to good use. It's not just a job to pay the bills. Speaking of bills, you don't really have them anymore. You have no debt. You don't need health insurance. You don't pay a mortgage or have a landlord because comfortable housing is a human right. Just because it isn't easy to imagine now doesn't mean we shouldn't try to make it happen. Wow, the problem is it's failed everywhere it's been tried.
Okay,
Pause.
Go for it.
This could have been taken from 120 years ago with the robber barons talking about, oh, you want a 40-hour work week, you lazy, workers. Like this is the same playbook of the bosses trying to put their boot on the neck of the working class. I mean, we've seen this before, right? This is nothing new. This is, wanting the American people to be beholden to corporate interests for our very well-being, for the things that our government should guarantee. So no, this is the same old tired playbook.
I'm still trying to figure out where was the problem. I'm going back and forth and I didn't see the problem yet. So I'm waiting for her to get to it.
Fair enough. I agree. I mean, I was thinking like no Senate, no bills. Like, I don't know. I think a lot of people would really like no bills. I'm not really sure why they threw that on for the main headline. I think having DSA in the same line as no bills, I feel like that's just free advertising for us, frankly. So I will take that, honestly. Okay, we're going to go to the next section now, where some of the commentators start to talk a little bit more. Sorry, we had to skip some of our comrades speaking there. But let's skip to this section, which I think is pretty interesting because Fox News is actually going to give us a little bit of credit, and I think in a kind of an interesting way.
And that is the U.S. Constitution. So you eliminate the Senate, Article 1 gone. You eliminate the presidency, Article 2 gone. You eliminate the Supreme Court, Article 3 gone. And we are to trust the naive neophytes here who are pontificating on why our country isn't great and our Constitution.
Right. And the very reason why the founders designed guardrails such as the Senate is to prevent people like that
from ever getting power. They're sitting there wondering, well, what's the point of the Senate? It's to prevent you from ever actually abolishing it and from abolishing the Constitution. I think that this is a real threat, though, as radical as it is and as outlandish as it might seem that they were ever able to implement any of these policies. You have to recognize the threat for what it is, because the fact of the matter is that the Democrats are not going to do anything to stop it. And the reason why the DSA is gaining so much traction right now is because it's resonating among young adults my age in particular. They are experiencing a surge in support among young adults who are enamored with ideas such as this, because they are facing real issues and they think that quick sound bites and quick fixes such as the ones being proposed here are somehow going to fix the problems that they're facing.
Wait. I can't, because we're talking about people who prop up Donald Trump. Like, you prop up Donald Trump, you prop up someone who just had to pay out, we just had to pay out someone for his own, sexual misconduct case. He just had to pay that out. You're talking about like, they are people who prop up Donald Trump. This is amazing. They lose all credibility there to start.
Yeah, I mean, when George W. Bush was running on a constitutional amendment to define marriages between one man and one woman, you didn't hear them talking about abolishing the Constitution. It's only about filing constitutional amendments that benefit the masses, the working class of this country. We had vigorous debate among the founding fathers of this country, the majority of whom were slaveholders who designed the Senate to privilege the white, wealthy, landowning, slave-holding classes of people over the majority of Americans. And it is very convenient for them to articulate it as we are trying to overthrow the Constitution. When it's them getting their way, it's, we're following the constitutional process. But when it benefits the working class, it's somehow radical.
Totally. I found it really interesting when she was like, it's to prevent people like you from being in power. And it's like, well, who do you mean by that? Right. And that's a classic Fox News, just kind of, dog whistle. And obviously we know why they don't want us to reform any of these democratic institutions. It's because all these institutions were designed for white, wealthy landowners, slave owners, and not people like us, right? Okay, let's keep going. I may have lost your timestamp a little bit. Let's see.
Quick sound bites and quick fixes such as the ones being proposed here are somehow going to fix the problems that they're facing. The other reason why the DSA is gaining traction, though, is because they actually believe in things. I think about the congressional candidate here in New York, Chevalier. I think she genuinely believes that she could get rid of prisons and get rid of crime entirely if everyone just made enough money. Same thing with Zohran Mamdani. I think that he genuinely believes that he is entitled to the wealth and success of other Americans so that he can redistribute it. You can't say the same thing about establishment Democrats like Chuck Schumer, who's just going to say whatever he has to say and support whatever policy he has to support to stay in power. He's trying to stave off that primary bid from AOC for as long as he possibly can. So it's not a surprise to me that an establishment party that has no meaningful leader, no meaningful agenda, is getting absolutely steamrolled by people who actually have a vision to present, as lunatic as it might be.
Okay, that's where the clip stops. I found it really funny that they are giving DSA a lot of credit here, and I think it would make for a really good mailer. Fox News says that Democratic Socialists believe what they say, unlike establishment Democrats. In tiny font for legal reasons, we might have to put as lunatic as it might be somewhere. But I'm curious, what do you all think about some of the Fox News takes on why we're winning and why we actually have been able to beat some of these Democrats in these really high-profile races?
I mean, we're talking about when it comes to the taking on the prison industrial complex. I'm coming to you from a district that has the corporate headquarters of the GEO Group, the private prison corporation that when Republicans pass $175 billion in ICE funding, it's not just going to immigration and customs enforcement, it's going towards enriching the private prison profiteers that is oftentimes also propped up by establishment and corporate Democrats, like my opponent. So this is what we're talking about, is authenticity and integrity. The thing that I hear all the time that resonates in my district is people trust DSA because we're going to tell you exactly what we mean. There's no hidden ball trick. There's no deception based on answering to some corporate overlord. We are truly speaking for the working classes of this country. And that's something that the establishment of the Democratic Party can never answer to because they're beholden to their corporate interests.
Yeah, go ahead, Corey, if you have any thoughts on any of that too.
Yeah, I just appreciate them taking the time to read. You know, they, even though they didn't they didn't, obviously didn't dig deeper, but I appreciate the fact that Fox News made a decision to actually read. And I think that we're going to start to win some of them, because what we've seen is when we present policies that make sense for people and that prioritize all people, we win people. Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. She started to come over and come over to our side in some ways. Thomas Massey just had an amazing amendment with Ro Khanna. We have been saying so much of the same thing for such a long time. And because they, you know, and I'm not speaking about Thomas Massey necessarily, or even Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm talking about Fox News now, because they are trying to, you know, make fun of us, or they're trying to show what makes us the boogie person or whatever. But really all they're doing is they're coming over to our side. So come on, dig a little deeper, read a little more, find out a little more, and you'll realize that we're right. And then we will take care of you too. So our policies will impact you too. Otherwise, what they can do is maybe they should be sliding should they have to slide a check to the postal worker when they come and deliver their mail? Like, no, they don't do that, you know? So like, you know, they benefit from socialism, but then they want to call it lunatic.
Totally. I feel like one thing that you were saying that was really interesting was, like, we keep saying the same thing for a very long time, and that makes us credible in a way that the Republicans and Democrats can't be credible. Like, and I think this is one of the reasons why it doesn't just scare establishment Democrats, it scares Fox News too, because we have candidates that, whether you agree with us or not, they're going to say the same thing again and again and again, and they're going to stick to those principled beliefs. And honestly, sometimes that cuts across political currents more than anything else with independents and maybe even Republicans, because that's just so rare in American politics right now. I remember I was watching a video the other day. Meghan McCain was talking about how scared she would be if Zohran Mamdani could run for president, and he can't. But that, I think, goes to show that we have something that we can offer across the political spectrum that nobody else can, which is principles and consistency. And we saw how much that paid off for, like, Bernie when he first ran for both presidency, both of his presidential runs, how it galvanized so many people. And, you know, Wesley Bell, Jared Moskowitz, Sri Thanadar, they don't have any of that. And so I think that's a huge advantage for us as an organization and for our candidates. So those are our Fox News segments. Another time I would love to go through even more, but we do have some questions that I want to throw your way about some of the ways in which your campaigns specifically are helping to normalize socialism in your communities and in your districts. And I think both Oliver and Corey, both of you are really interesting, compelling candidates for this, because you're running in the South, you're running in places that aren't quite like maybe Philly or New York, but you are able to mobilize volunteers and donations. So my first question for both of you to take in whatever order is, have you run into anyone on the campaign trail or even in your time organizing who had fears or misconceptions about socialism? And how have you been able to kind of reframe those and actually win them over to your side?
I've dealt with this for a long time. I've dealt with this ever since probably my first, maybe a first or second race, somewhere around maybe 2017, 2018, somewhere around there. And part of it is because I'm Black, you know, and it's the whole thing. And it's the idea of stay away from that. You know, it makes you scary, makes you it's just all of these reasons. But what I've done is the same thing that I do sometimes when I talk about Medicare for All or the Green New Deal, talking about what it will deliver, talking about what it is, a way apart from naming it. And then we get to the name. So then we get to talk about what democratic socialism is. But when we first talk about, how I believe that our workers deserve, they deserve their pay, and how I love how unions can help how unions help to close the gap with when we talk about the gender wage gap, but that it doesn't stop with the gender wage gap. When I talk about abolishing ICE, and I talk about just so many issues. You got to talk about the issues first. When I talk about Medicare for All, I talk about each and every person having health care and then not being connected to your job. Your job has nothing to do with your health status, and how every person, will can pick their own provider and all of that. And I just speak about it. And when I just break down what it is, people are like, "Oh yeah, well I'm supposed to have that. Well I deserve that. Well why don't we have that? Don't we have that? Shouldn't we have that? Who gets that?" And then it's like, oh, okay, well, that's democratic socialism. And so it knocks the punch out of it. And then sometimes actually people have said, well, then how do I get, how do I get to be a part of that? And I will say one other thing that I've heard is, well, then why aren't more people a part of it, especially from certain communities, if it's something that's going to help us directly.
Yeah,
even the billionaires, the billionaire part is really big. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Oh, we've got Billionaire Central down here in South Florida with extreme income and wealth inequality. I mean, let's call it what it is. The Miami metropolitan area just surpassed New York City metro as more expensive to live in. And we don't have New York City wages here in South Florida. We have 30 years of Republican rule in Tallahassee wages. So the question comes up a lot. How are you going to run as a democratic socialist in South Florida with all the anti-communist, anti-socialist? You've got your immigrants from Cuba. My wife's the proud daughter of Nicaraguan immigrants, the Sandinistas in Nicaragua. And what I frame this as is we pay into Social Security. We pay into Medicare. We pay into these programs, but we don't all benefit equally from these programs because it's still geared towards excluding communities. It's still privileging the wealthy, the billionaire class that pay a lower proportion of their income into Social Security than you and I do. And I also frame this as the most popular platforms that the Democratic Party traditionally has carried, these New Deal era reforms, they did not come from within the institution of the Democratic Party. They came from outside organizers, from the trade unionists, from the communists, from the socialists that were applying the external pressure on the party establishment to enact these reforms. And that is exactly what we're doing right now. If you're running as a run-of-the-mill Democrat, that's not going to fly in South Florida. We have not seen run-of-the-mill Democrats deliver in states like Florida and Missouri. But we do see in our state voters supporting a living wage. We see voters supporting expanding voting rights to returned citizens that have paid their debt to society. So these policies that we support of investing in our infrastructure, of the things that virtually every other industrialized country has, like universal child care, paid family and medical leave, these are things that the democratic socialist movement is fighting for and organizing for. And that's something that people, regardless of their political affiliation, can get behind. And the other thing that is impossible to deny, no matter what people might feel about democratic socialism in South Florida, is when you look at 70 volunteers from Alachua DSA, Orlando DSA, Tampa DSA, Pinellas DSA, Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade DSA, all coming together and knocking 2,500 doors in a single day in a single canvas in Fort Lauderdale over the weekend. That's what the Democratic Party is desperate for. We're bringing the voters that the Democratic Party says it wants to win. Does it want to deliver on the policies that are going to bring young people, working class people, disaffected communities into the party? We got to support every tent pole of this big tent. And when that means supporting the vote blue no matter who of a Democratic Socialist mayor in Zoran Mamdani, of supporting Democratic Socialist candidates that are going to be the fighting edge of the Democratic Party once we're in office, this is something that the majority of South Floridians, regardless of what they might feel about the label understand this is a necessary movement that is going to inspire the change that we need to see to build a mass politics that's predicated on passing these bold universal economic policies and expanding our social, political, and civil rights.
Totally, totally. And I think you're really calling out the ways in which, again, Democrats are failing to do some of the things that democratic socialists are doing. And especially in places like swing states or swing districts, I think there's a really good case that democratic socialists are actually the better option to take out Republicans because of the fact that we're fighting for these things, even if the label might seem a little bit scarier at first. When we actually argue for these ideas and we do it confidently and with conviction, over time, we can be the more credible fighters against the Republicans, which matters for places like St. Louis, Florida, and many of these other states outside of course, New York and whatnot. I also have one final question before we get to dialing, and that is how you've seen the perception of socialism change since when you first became a DSA member to now. So whoever wants to take that first, I'm very curious how you've seen it change over the years.
So let me say that it has, I feel like it's more accepted right now. And I think it's, to me, this really happened just over the last year, because it was a struggle before, for me anyway. It was a struggle for me. But part of the struggle was people just didn't know what democratic socialism was. So like I didn't really get attacked about it because people just didn't know about it. They didn't know if they wanted to like it or not. It was just like I guess a title, a name. And then but more recently now, and then it turned into an attack. And for me, it's you always got to be to the left of everybody, and to me it's like, but what changed? If you believed in me when you didn't understand what democratic socialism was, if you believed in me before, then why? Because now you have paid attention to a title and you're listening to the wrong television shows, and you're reading the wrong information, that now there is a problem with it. And so I think what has changed definitely is that more people are aware, kind of like AIPAC. More people are aware and they know that they don't want AIPAC with democratic socialism. More people are aware. And I think what we're seeing is people are now coming in, showing up at these meetings, wanting to be a part, put me in, coach, trying to figure out how, is this my team? And so I feel like this is our moment to do that, but also be able to expand this beyond who people think are part of DSA, and make sure that our communities, especially those that are more historically excluded from conversations, and our communities that are more marginalized, understand how being a part truly benefits us.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it change. And I started running about a week after Zoran Mamdani won the New York City mayoral primary. And in South Florida, in the state of Florida, we've been so starved for any kind of success. I mean, the optimism, the inspiration of the Bernie 2016 campaign that I worked on, and the Bernie 2020 campaign, we had this sheepdogging effect, this shepherding back to the political status quo that said, don't go too far, don't be too extreme or radical or whatever moniker they wanted to label us as. Be more middle of the road. Don't ruffle so many feathers. And we saw that fail in 2024. We saw it fail. We saw AIPAC come after our sister Cori Bush. We saw them come after our brother Jamal Bowman in New York. We saw the Democratic Party getting everything that it wanted. We did not see the ascendant progressive democratic socialist movement trying to win new territory. We were just trying to hold on to what we had in the face of AIPAC, in the face of Republicans and MAGA billionaires spending untold amounts of money on our elections. And the center, the status quo, is not working for people. And simply saying for the corporate establishment of the Democratic Party that we need to just get back to the status quo, that is radical. It is extreme to believe that doing the same thing is going to produce a different result when we see fascism on the march across this country. When I talk to people, what they think is extreme, what they think is radical, what they think is scary is ICE coming to their door or their neighbor's door and taking their family and their friends away. What they think is radical is sending their kid to school and not knowing whether the parent is going to be at home when the kid comes home because they've been detained and deported by ICE. That is scary. That is radical. What we're talking about, universal economic rights, that's what it's funny. I went to, at the very start, actually before I started campaigning, I went to an Indivisible town hall, and some people were getting up on the open mic and they were saying, I supported Hillary Clinton in 2016. We were in Debbie Wasserman Schultz's backyard, but they said maybe Bernie Sanders was right because look at where we are. Look at where we are a decade after this movement began. We know that the status quo that we've seen over 40 years, the neoliberal status quo, the decline in standard of living, the acceleration of income and wealth inequality isn't working for ordinary people anymore. So what we're doing is actually the common sense approach. What we're doing is responding to the material conditions that people are living with each and every day. And like I said, in South Florida, materially, it's never been harder to get by. So we're actually providing the practical, pragmatic solutions. And we're doing it by taking on the people that have concentrated all of this wealth and political power in the first place. And that makes an awful lot of sense to the vast majority of people in South Florida in a way that I just don't think it did 8 years ago.
Totally. I feel like even in my short time in DSA, I've noticed a huge difference. So, 10 years is probably even just like a totally different ball game from 10 years ago. We are going to, by the way, get to the dialing very soon. But before we get to the dialer, I did want to give both of you a chance to give just some closing remarks, maybe some motivation or support for folks who are going to be on the dialer. And there will be, potentially undecided or even unfriendly callers. So yeah, I just want to give you both a chance to do that before we hit the phones and get out the vote for Corey.
Thank you all for making calls tonight. I really, really need the help. We don't have the big money that, the opponent has. We don't accept any corporate PAC money, as you all know, never have and never will. I won't be beholden to the billionaire class. And I don't have to be. I don't have to be because I'm going to run on my values. And if that means that, I have to run a few times like I did before, that's how you actually win, because I get to go and be who I am in Congress. I get to go and show up for us in Congress and be myself and not have to be beholden to any powers or any corporations, any lobbyists. So as you make these calls, I know that some of these you may, I don't know, but if you get questions about these ads, you all remind people that, hey, do you know those ads are primarily paid for by Republicans? They don't want the person that's really going to deliver for you in the seat, because they would rather have the person who is really a Republican. You all know that he was the Republican campaign manager of someone who was trying to get an abortion ban in Missouri, who was running for this particular seat. He was the campaign manager for that. He donates to Republicans. He's funded by AIPAC, that he is a Republican. He's just a Democrat just so he can win the seat. But when people bring those ads up, if they do, just know there's not one of those ads that is true. All of that is to just discredit our movement and our work. So let the people know that the Republicans are paying for that, just like they did last time. Remember your Congresswoman, because she has shown up time and time again, brought record funding to the community, stood up for human rights. She won't back down, because that's who I am. So as you all make these calls, just remember you're also connecting people to their relief. You're connecting them to having one day getting that Medicare for all, because I won't just sign up for it to say I'm a progressive. I actually fight for it and have been doing so for over 10 years. You're connecting them. So whether it's their health care, more money for education, if they have an issue with in the environment, with RECA, with radioactive waste in our community, whatever it is, when you call them, each and every one of them has some type of a need, regardless of their monetary situation, their financial situation. They all have a need. And what you are doing is connecting them to the one that can help deliver relief. So thank you all so much. We're going to win this on August 4th because you all are doing something that I can't do, which is make a bunch of calls right now. So thank you all so much. We're going to win this August the 4th. Be ready for a win that will be historical, because when I said AIPAC, I'm coming to tear your kingdom down, that's what I meant. And so we will tear it down. We're going to tear it down together. We're going to tear it down for our community. We're going to tear it down for Detroit. We're going to tear it down for Florida. We're going to tear it down for the people of Gaza. We're going to tear it down for people all across this country. We're going to tear it down for the U.S. taxpayers that deserve to have the money continue to stay in their communities. We're going to tear it down. And I can't do this without you. So that's what it's about. DSA, let's go win this.
Corey, I couldn't have said it any better myself. And please stay for the whole shift. Call through. Election Day is not just August 4th. Election Day is right now. You can lock in votes today for Cori Bush to send her back to Congress. So get on the phones, start dialing. And we know that a win like this, especially up against AIPAC and the untold millions of dollars that they're pouring in to defeat our sister in St. Louis, if we can show them that organized people beats organized money, it is going to send a shiver through the spines of every Republican billionaire that thinks they can sit back and write a check and air some nasty, nasty ads. And we're going to follow up with it on August 18th, because the person I'm going against, Jared Moskowitz, we're talking about a self-described Ron DeSantis Democrat. Yes, not one, but two political appointments by a Republican governor secured by his best friend, Matt Gaetz, from their time together in the Florida legislature. The only Democrat in our state of Florida to vote for the Lake and Riley Act. Someone who is making headlines. Just the other day, reported that he bought SpaceX's stock on its IPO after taking a $10,000 corporate PAC check from Elon Musk's PAC after being the first Democrat to join Doge. So just like Wesley Bell, Jared Moskowitz running in South Florida, got to have a D next to that name, even though everything about this man is Republican. So we've got an opportunity to show that this movement, when we win in Missouri, when we win in Michigan, and when we win in Florida, it is going to show in advance of 2028 that there is not a single district in this country where Democratic Socialists can not only compete, but can win and elect a majority that will fight to end U.S. military aid to Israel, that will end militarization and occupation and genocide, that will invest in Medicare for all, taking on the two most powerful lobbies, private health insurance and big pharma in the United States Congress, that will take on AIPAC, that will fight for universal child care, that will fight for Medicare for all, that will fight for $25 an hour and $30 by 2030. These are the things that the American people want. And we need your help. We need your dials. We need your efforts on the doors. We need you to tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, anybody you know in Missouri, in Florida, that's capable of turning out to vote on August 4th, on August 18th. And this movement, we are on the ascension. What we've seen in the past few months with Maylot Quiros and Chris Rabb and Daria Lisa Villa Chevalier and Claire Valdez and with Cori Bush and with Oliver Larkin, this is a movement that is powered by you all. It is not possible without you, because we don't have the billionaires that are writing the big checks. We don't have the corporate PACs that are backing us to the hilt. We have organized people that are committed to making a material difference in each and every one of your lives. And when voters hear that we're here to make your life better, that we're here to reduce that stress, that anxiety that you feel for paying your car loan, for paying your rent or your mortgage or your property insurance, or paying your student loan bill, or trying to afford groceries or gas. These are the things that when the American people see that help is on the way, that's how we build a movement. That's how we're building this movement. That's how we've gone from 100,000 people to 120,000 Democratic Socialists and growing in this country in just the past few months. So please make calls for our sister Cori Bush. Send her back to Congress, someone that I was so excited to see elected the first time around. And like she said, we're AIPAC. We're coming to tear that kingdom down. So stay on the phones, make calls. Once we've elected Cori and Donovan, we're going to elect our movement here in South Florida, and we're going to show that this is a movement for all 50 states in the United States of America. Thank you all so much. Solidarity to each and every one of you for being on this call for making the calls, and for making the change that our country needs to see.
Thank you so much, Oliver and Corey. It was wonderful having you on. And again, after today, we're doing Corey today. We're going to do Corey and Donovan this weekend. And then after that, August 18th, Oliver's up next. So today we start off, but we're going to be phone banking a lot these next 2 to 3 weeks. So keep an eye out for follow-ups. But until then, we are going to be focusing on today. And I'm going to pass it over to Sarah to take it away on training.
Hello. We can stop the recording. All right.
Recording stopped.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah, she, her. I am in St. Louis DSA, and we have been working very hard to get Corey reelected here. I'm going to do a quick training on phone banking. If you've never phone banked before, don't worry. We're going to explain everything. If you've never phone banked for Corey before, don't worry. We'll explain everything. And then we'll get to dialing. So I think some of our comrades will drop links in the chat for the dialer. If you know what you're doing, you can get moving. But let me start out. I'm going to share my screen if I can. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. So welcome to our virtual phone bank for Cori Bush for U.S. Congress. The election is less than 1 week away. Early voting has already started. So we are reaching out to voters, getting them to get out the vote. So we're going to talk a little bit about who we're calling and why, some tips and tricks for using Solidarity Tech, which is the software that we use, some FAQs, and then we're going to make some calls, and we'll come back together at the end for a debrief and next steps. So who are we targeting? Just a quick look at the universe. We're targeting younger voters today, folks under the age of 45, and voters in key Corey areas. And we're doing this because we want to tell them about Corey and get out the vote. So if you talk to somebody who is supportive, here's a little psychology for everyone. You got to talk to them about what their plan is to vote, right? Get them to envision voting. Are they going to vote early? Are they going to vote this weekend? Are they going to vote on election day? If they're voting on election day, are they going to go on the way to work? What if they get stuck at work late, right? Are they planning to vote on their lunch break, right? Talk to them a little bit and figure out what is their plan to vote. Make sure that they are set up for success to deliver a vote for Corey on or before August 4th. And then if you talk to somebody who's super excited about Corey, which happens every phone bank, people really love her, we want to get them to join us at either an upcoming canvas or a phone bank. So there will be options in the script for you to give people more information about those upcoming events. All right. So if you've already phone banked voters for Corey, I know we have some veterans on the call tonight. If you've already done that, we're sharing the Scale to Win link with you in the chat. Make sure to leave the Zoom audio and click on the preview script option before you call, just to familiarize yourself with everything. And then you can get calling. We're going to come back at 7:45 Central Time to debrief and hear about what is next. But if you're new, here are some tips and tricks for phones. So first of all, we want to keep it really warm, keep it real. Everybody here is a volunteer, and the best way that we can connect with other voters is to share our own stories and our own personal reasons for being here. This might sound silly. I'm always telling people at canvases that I'm a single issue voter for Corey. I mean, I'm an every issue voter for Corey, but single issue, she talked earlier about, we don't pay our mailmen at the door like a bill to get your own mail. I'm a single issue voter because when Corey was in Congress, she was like on top of Louis DeJoy and got the mail here in St. Louis to be so much better. And since she has left office, it has gotten so much worse, and it drives me crazy. And I can't wait to get her back in Congress so that I can get mail in my mailbox every day like I'm supposed to. So, sharing your own story, your own personal reasons for supporting Corey, for being excited about this election is the best way to connect with voters, right? Like really being real with people. If you talk to somebody who's excited, recruit them. Ask them to talk to their friends, their family about voting and or to volunteer. Again, there will be links for that in the script. And then make sure that you're logging everything. Every single call we make matters for the campaign's tracking. So if you talk to somebody who's not supportive, which will happen, this is a close race, you have to, you need to mark down that they're not supportive. And then that is helpful information for us, even if it feels bad to hear. It's really helpful because it gets them out of our lists and we're not wasting time trying to contact them again. We're focusing just on people we know are going to turn out for court. So please make sure you're marking those results accurately, and I'll talk about like what that looks like. A couple more tips and tricks. I recommend you kind of split up your screen so that you have the dialer information in one part, and then any other helpful resources, whether it's the Zoom chat or other things, up so that you can kind of see both things. You do not need to be an expert. If somebody has questions that you can't answer, like don't make something up. You can say, I'm not sure. I can have somebody from the campaign get back to you. There's a place to put notes in the dialer script. And then we'll also have the Zoom chat turned on for the phone banking portion of this call. So if somebody, if you have a question, you can drop it in the chat and ask it, and then we can try to answer while you're still on the phone with the voter. And then this might sound silly, but smile while you dial. If you have a smile on your face when you're talking to people, you sound friendlier. They can hear it over the phone. So be fun. Please smile. You'll sound more friendly, and it's going to be a good time. Again, a couple FAQs, speaking with voters. Corey talked about this a little bit already, but you don't need to be an expert on everything. There's going to be an FAQ with some talking points on the side of your screen. So if somebody has a good faith question, there's some like background information for you to look at, which is why it's good to preview the script before we start talking. But if there will be some kind of FAQs probably based on the ads that we've been seeing funded by AIPAC. If you do talk to somebody who's really unsupportive or hostile, don't escalate the conversation. This is a numbers game when we want to be identifying either folks who need persuasion or folks who are excited. So don't waste your time trying to change somebody's mind if they're being a jerk. Just say thank you, say goodbye, and move on to the next call. And then, the last thing is solidarity. We're all in this together. So please, drop questions or good experiences in the chat. We can share, our time together here. So if you know how to use if you know how to use Scale to Win, you can follow the link that's in the chat for the campaign. Make sure you leave your computer audio and you can start calling. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat. And then again, we'll come back at 7:45 Central Time to debrief. Okay, now here's how to leave the Zoom audio. You'll click the little caret button and then leave computer audio. That way you don't hear me giving instructions to other people while you're making your call. Okay, so if you are new, what is Scale to Win? It is a phone banking auto dialer. So the computer is going to dial for you and it acts as an operator between you and your voters. So the dialer protects your privacy. If somebody picks up the phone, they're not going to see your phone number on it. They will see a phone number, a 314 number, which is the St. Louis area code, that is associated with the dialer, and it's not associated with your phone number. So it'll protect your privacy. They're getting a call from the dialer, and it dials people automatically, right? So it means that you're going to end up speaking to a lot of voters. You can probably end up talking to about 15 correct people in a shift here. So we're calling through like thousands of people together. Here's how you're going to make calls. You'll go to the link that we share, and then you're going to want a preview script, which we'll talk about. But we recommend calling with your computer as the device and then using your phone for the audio. It's just a little bit smoother. If you just have one device, you can do both on the screen. But that lets you, dial your calls on your phone and then look at the computer screen and like see the script in front of you separately. Again, smile while you dial. Okay, so the script is dynamic, which means that when you click each response, it's going to make the next response pop up. And you can always use change previous answers to go back. So I'm going to preview the script here. This is our campaign. So when you connect to a voter, the script will pop up and it'll say, hi, you'll say, hi, this is Sarah. I'm a volunteer with Corey Bush. Am I speaking with Karlyn? It'll say their name. And you'll have this information up in the top right that's got their first name, their last name. It'll have their polling location. And then down here is what I was talking about with this additional information about Corey's record. So I would recommend everybody takes a look. You don't need to be an expert, but familiarize yourself with some of these pieces of information, talking points. Corey was a nurse. She supports Medicare for all. She is a strong advocate for housing as a human right. She slept on the steps of the Capitol in order to get the eviction moratorium extended, right? So not like a stunt for publicity. It actually helped 11 million people stay in their homes. And she's been fighting against discriminatory policies that undermine the Fair Housing Act. Utilities, she sponsored legislation to make power and water a human right, to cap the bills here in St. Louis. I mean, bills are high everywhere, but utility rates here in St. Louis are extremely high. And we're not a very rich district. So in contrast to her opponent, whose top donor is the utility company, she is fighting for, people who actually are paying their bills. Ending wars overseas, standing up to Trump. Wesley Bell, her opponent, wouldn't even vote to impeach Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Corey's introducing articles of impeachment for people involved in the Capitol riots. Abolishing ICE, public safety, reproductive justice, there's a million things. I don't want to kind of talk about them forever, but please take a look. And there's some, sort of evidence to support information. We also have a few talking points about some of the attack ads that have been on TV. As Corey said, they are not based in reality. They're not true. But there's some information. One big one that's been coming up is Corey missing a bunch of votes. She only missed 10 days in her entire time in Congress over 4 years. And it was because she was sick with COVID. And the Republicans got rid of the ability to proxy vote. So she was being safe and staying home. And it was on one of those days where they jammed through a bill that's got a million little votes and it makes it look bad, but she's not an absentee congresswoman, as we know. Great. So, you're going to say, hi, is this so-and-so? And then you were going to mark the correct results. So I want to talk about some of these different results. Ideally, you're talking to the correct person. You'll move on to the script. But if you're not, if you get an answering machine, the dialer should filter out answering machines. But some might get through. So if you do hear somebody's voicemail, just click answering machine or no answer. If somebody is rude to you, you'll click refused. If they ask to be removed, you can click remove. But if they're I can't talk right now, and they're not rude about it, they're not saying, it's not a vibe of never speak to me again, then just put call back later. Because if you put refuse, it takes them off the list. If you put call back later, it keeps them in the mix in general. You might have a wrong number. You can mark that. If they've moved out of the district, they can tell you that they moved. There was some redistricting though. So people, unless they've moved from the address that you have listed up here, with their polling place, if you can see a polling location up here, they're still in the district. There was some redistricting, so people might not know that they're in the first district, but they should be if they're on our list. If you have a language barrier, please mark that. And then if they ask to be removed, you can mark that as well. So if you're talking to the correct person, say, great, are you familiar with Corey? Do people will either know about her or not. And then you just want to listen to what they say and then talk about why you care about this race, why you care about getting her back in Congress. And then you have to ask the question, can we count on your support for Cori Bush in the August 4th Democratic primary? And they will either say, yes, I'm obsessed with Cori, or they'll say, no, thank you. Or they'll say, I don't know, tell me more. So if they say yes, you can say, great, do you want to get involved with the campaign? If they say no, then you want to say, okay, well, got to talk to you about your voting plan. They voted, the voting already began on July 21st. If you live in the city, the districts are split into the city and the county. If you live in the city, you can vote at any polling location in the city. If you live in the county, you can vote in any polling location in the county. And then you can text them information Again, it comes from the dialer, not from your phone. You can text them information about the early voting locations. If they're like, oh yeah, like I already voted, or I know exactly where I'm voting, I don't need this information, you can skip that. And then if there's any notes, you can put them there. Otherwise, just submit and you're done. The same is true if they, if they're leaning support, they're like, yeah, I'm pretty, then you can talk to them more. If they're undecided, then you want to ask them, what questions they have. What do they care about, right? Like, what are the things that are big issues for them? And then you can use your talking points to kind of connect that to your reasons for supporting Corey and other information. Please remember to be respectful, really listen to people, and then make a case for Corey. You can ask if they have any questions, and then you're done. And then if you talk to them and then they're like, they're undecided and you're like, I'm obsessed with the post office, here's the deal. And they're like, oh, I'm also obsessed with the post office. You can go back and change them to either lean support or strong support. So, then you can file them in the correct category. But some people just are like, oh, I don't know. And you can leave them as an undecided, mark them as a 3, submit it, and move on to your next caller. Okay. So that's our script. So again, you're marking support 1 through 5, strong support to strong oppose. If they don't share who they're voting for, you can put them as a 3. And then again, if they are a strong or leaning support, make sure you're asking them about their voting plan. And we want people to visualize going to the polls. All right. A couple of reminders. So election day is Tuesday, August 4th. That's a week from yesterday. They can vote early today. Well, not anymore. They can vote early tomorrow, which is Thursday and Friday and Saturday, and then not on Sunday for whatever reason, and then Monday and Tuesday. And Tuesday's election day. And again, you can vote at any location in the city or any location in the county, depending on where you live. But there will be information about their polling location on the side of your screen. Okay, so to get started, you're going to go to the link that we're sharing in the chat with the campaign. And you'll put in your telephone number first. So again, it's not going to show up to the people that you're calling, but it'll show up like you need to use your real phone number because that's how you connect to the dialer. You'll dial a number and it'll say like, oh yes, I see it's this person's phone number, and it'll let you in. So put in your phone number, put in your name. It doesn't need to be like your full legal name, but it should be something identifiable as you. That way, if you talk to somebody and then you have a question or we need to follow up with them, it's easier for us to see on the back end, like, oh, Charlie talked to this person, and this is who they had a question about. We can find that information more easily. So please do put a regular name. Then you'll go to that link, you'll put in that information. It'll say, please call, and it'll give you a number, and you'll call that number, and then you're going to follow the instructions. And that'll get you connected to the dialer. So once you're connected, it will start calling people when you click start calling. And those conversations start with a beep. You'll hear this beep and you're gonna immediately need to start talking because the beep means they've already said hello. So don't wait for somebody to say hello. You've got to it takes a little getting used to, but you got to just roll right in and start talking right away. So, make sure you've looked at that script in advance. You've kind of clicked around on the preview so that you're ready to start talking. And then after the conversation ends, don't click hang up on your phone. You'll just click only on the screen, submit your survey, move on to the next call. You will also see these lovely dad jokes while you're waiting in between calls. So please enjoy that. A couple FAQs. Why does it take a long time to connect between calls? The dialer's moving through phone numbers. The more people who are calling at the same time, the faster it goes. But there may be some wait times as we're getting started. As soon as you hear the beeps, start speaking. Sometimes, so again, the dialer is supposed to weed out answering machines, but sometimes you're going to it'll get tricked and you'll get a bunch of answering machines. That's just the way it is. So don't worry about that. But please do try to start speaking right away when you hear the beep, because sometimes people will think like, oh, nobody's on the other end of the line. And again, voters are not going to see your phone number. They're just going to see campaign dialer number. Okay, so when you're ready to make calls, you're going to leave the Zoom audio. Just click that little caret button next to the mute, and then click leave computer audio. Then you won't hear anything that's happening here. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. If you have like extreme technical difficulties, we can also put you in a breakout room with somebody who can walk through and help you kind of get connected and get working. Great. And then we will debrief at the end. So I think we are ready to start dialing. If you want to use the link that is in the chat. And if you have any questions, please ask them in the chat. The chat is on. Yeah, and the election is in August because it is a primary election. So she's running in the Democratic primary on August 4th. And that's something that you may need to remind people of if they are thinking about, November elections. And if you get an answering machine, yeah, don't leave a message. But okay, great. Let's get dialing. We've got a lot of people on the call right now. Very exciting. And we can get going. Thank you all for joining.
Okay. I'm going to explain why this is one of the most brilliant things that the DSA does. What the DSA does is they hold these organizing calls where they get speakers on, and you guys saw that happen. These are people that like DSA members want to hear from. And then they say, okay, guys, now that we've all had the fun part of the meeting, we're going to spend the next hour phone banking to support these candidates. So they get people onto the meeting and they trap them, and then they make them do volunteer work. None of these people are paid. They are doing this for the next hour and banging out a fuck ton of phone calls. And it's this on the ground work that is the reason that they are winning elections. This is how they're winning. This is not some secret conspiracy. This is not election fraud. This is not secret Soros funding or CCP funding or fucking Cuba funding or whatever Marco Rubio wants to say this week that is completely untrue. This is what they are doing. They are making phone calls. They are knocking on doors. They are registering new voters. They are holding events to get people excited. They're utilizing Fox fucking News to do fundraising mailers. They literally, Fox News got completely played by these people. Completely played. They went on Fox News, said exactly what they wanted to say. Fox News thought they were going to do some owning the libs segment, but the DSA had a massive W out of that whole thing, to the point that they are now going to use it to raise money to get candidates elected, which they talked about earlier in the fucking call. They literally, for people who joined late, they did a live reaction to Fox News coverage. It's just like everything these people do is just old-fashioned, on the ground, fucking boot work. Like the thing that they are pulling themselves up by their bootstraps, literally. The thing that Republicans claim that they're doing. Why don't these people go get a job? They can't pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Why don't you do? It's just like they're actually doing the work that Republicans don't even consider doing in these cities. They even said on this call, they are proactively reaching out to MAGA people because they know full well that they are the ones speaking to the issues that MAGA people care about. Affordability, domestic issues, being able to pay rent, being able to buy groceries. Like that is what normal people wanted from Donald Trump. They just wanted him to make their life here better. And then Trump decided to throw that all out the window to go to war with Iran on behalf of Israel. Okay? The DSA knows this is going on. They are hot. This is also why we never allow people to say these people are stupid or mentally ill or any of those things. Does this seem like they are mentally ill? Does this organizing call seem like it is run by mentally ill people? Can we all use our brains and watch what's happening right in front of us? I'm not making this up. This is literally the DSA's own organizing call. We are just streaming it on the internet. This is what they do behind closed doors. This is not mental illness. They know exactly what they're doing. They are highly strategic about what they're doing. They are raising monumental amounts of money to fund what they are doing. They don't need to go to Cuba to get funding. They're getting millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars a year from dues-paying supporters all over the country. And then they get those people on calls like this and they put them to work as volunteers doing the day-to-day campaign work that is necessary to get people elected. That is why the DSA is winning. That is why they are winning. That is why they're winning elections. This is not some secret thing. They do all this out in the open all the time. They publish their data on their own website. Until the right starts hinging into reality with what is going on, these people are going to win, and conservatives, magatards, Republicans, whatever, they are going to lose. So, right now, the DSA is making calls out to voters. I have multiple times put the DSA's own phone banking link in the chat. You guys are welcome to log on to their phone banking system for as long as it is up tonight, and you guys can actually make calls. I'm going to leave this meeting because they're just going to sit there. They're just going to sit there silently on Zoom making calls. Literally, they're going to sit there silently on Zoom making calls, and we don't need to be there for that. But if you guys want to find the DSA phone banking system, you can go over to my Twitter, Dr. Karlyn B. I will put the link in the chat. And while you're over there, share this, retweet it, quote tweet it, like get it in front of as many people as possible. This phone banking system is not going to be open all night. This phone banking system is only going to be live for like the next hour or so. So we have one chance to hijack their own phone banking system, and you guys can get on the phone and call the voters, and you can say whatever you want, and it could be, you know, really, you can say, well, I'm not going to give you a script. You can do whatever you want. And then you can utilize their system to push the button that says refused, and that will take them off of the DSA's list. Okay? So if you want to do that, there you go. You're welcome. I got you access to the DSA's phone banking system. If people ask me all the time, Karlyn, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? How about you go make prank calls to the DSA phone banking list tonight for the next hour, and then you get people off their mailing list, and maybe you even make the case for why they shouldn't vote for the DSA. You could actually make the case to vote for the DSA's opponent. You can say whatever the fuck you want. You have access to their phone banking system. I'm not going to give you a script. I'm just saying that if you want to do something, go do that. And then click refuse, get people off their fucking mailing list. And you know what? Maybe we don't even make a dent in the situation, but at least you guys want to do something, go forth. Go forth. This is the shit that's required. This is the shit that the DSA is willing to do that Republicans and conservatives are not willing to do. So you want to do something, there you go. Got about an hour. They're going to shut the system down at some point tonight. This will not be live tomorrow. If you want to do that as we are watching the rest of this stream, you can feel free to do it. Sadly, I can't do it because I do actually have something else I want to watch on this stream. So we spent the last hour watching a live DSA organizing call. But I still want to watch this debate from yesterday. I still want to watch the Democratic governor's debate, including DSA candidate Francesca Hong. I want to see what the DSA candidate running for governor of Wisconsin actually said in the debate yesterday. Because as you guys know, I am going to Wisconsin tomorrow. I am going to Madison. I'm going to see what's happening on the ground for myself. I'm going to be showing you guys via video and posts and pictures and stuff like that while I am there. I will be doing live streams while I'm there. I will not be doing live stream protest coverage because I just don't do that. I don't want that complication. But I will be streaming and talking to people about what I see and doing stuff like that while I'm out there. So please make sure, guys, you have mounted the like button. Please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. If you want direct on the ground view of what's going on from my perspective, I will arrive in Madison tomorrow. I am not going undercover, by the way. This is just going to be me going, and I'm going to see what happens. I am not going undercover. I'm announcing that I'm going. I am not going to debate with them. I'm not going to pick a fight with them. I'm not going to try to change their mind. I'm not going to instigate them. My interest is not in fighting with the left. I don't think I'm going to change anyone's mind. They're not going to change my mind. There's no reason to be uncivil. And we're going to see if they start shit with me. I'm going to bet they don't, because I'm not going to proactively instigate and insult them and stuff like that. And, but we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. We're doing a little experiment, okay? We're doing a little experiment to see what happens when I go someplace and I'm not undercover. Because the fact of the matter is I'm getting more and more recognizable, and I might actually have to start doing this stuff as myself. And I'm curious to see what happens. This is as good a time as any to start. Maybe I'm going to get the shit kicked out of me. That could happen. I have factored that into my decision making. We gotta, sometimes you just gotta go for it. You just gotta see what happens. Anyway, I do want to watch this debate. I want to see what's said. I want to remind everyone that if you are new to my work, the very best place to start is by making sure that you are subscribed to my Substack. That is Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. I have a massive, massive, massive archive of material on the Substack. So if you are new to my work, it is definitely a great place to start to get caught up. And if you have questions and stuff like that, now you might notice there is a big picture of me wearing makeup saying new to my work, start here. If you are brand new, I want you to click on that. I want you to scroll down. And the very first thing I want you to do is watch this. This is the re-education class, Re-Education and Anti-Communist Introduction to the Far Left. This is on YouTube. This is on Rumble. I uploaded it to Twitter. Substack is just the easiest place for people to find it, so you can find it there, but you can actually look this up on YouTube as well, or Rumble, or wherever else, and you will find it there as well. This is a free 90-minute crash course on the language of the far left. If you are new to studying the far left, you must understand their language for this to start to make sense. This is the quickest way I have right now to get you to understand the language quickly. This takes you inside a dozen different far left trainings that I've secretly recorded. I play you what they say in their own words when they think people like us aren't listening. So this is not me lecturing for 90 minutes. I walk you through clip after clip after clip after clip after clip from real far left trainings, real meetings that I have recorded over the 5+ years that I have been doing this, and I show you directly what they say. And so that is the very best place to start. I also have a 4-hour expanded version of that where I go into much greater depth on a lot of different topics. It's called How to Speak Socialist. And if you want an introduction to queer Marxism and the evolution and development of queer Marxism in America, which is something I'm working on a book on right now, then do an introduction to queer Marxism, the left's most dystopian ideology. This is the craziest shit that you will ever see in your life. And no. Okay, Hot Joe. What is the left's definition of capitalism? Go. You've been mouthing off in the chat for like half an hour, pretending you fucking know everything. What is the left's definition of capitalism? We're stopping the entire stream just for you, bro. What is the left's definition of capitalism? You know everything. We're going to ask you a basic 101 level question, and we're going to see how much you know. This is intro. This is kindergarten level. What is the left's definition of capitalism? Go. If you do not understand the left's definition of capitalism, you don't know shit. Exactly. You don't know shit. You don't know shit. When you are new to my channel, the first thing that you need to accept is that you don't know half of the fucking shit that you think you know. So I'm going to play this short instructional video just for you. Pay attention. Pay attention.
You take your top lip and connect it to your bottom lip, you will shut the fuck up. Sometimes shutting the fuck up is the best thing you can do.
When you are new to this channel, your job is to shut the fuck up, listen, and ask questions. And the moment that you say, oh, I know all this already, is the moment that I know that you have no fucking clue what you're talking about, because you have probably been watching conservative retard media your entire life. When I say the first step is to go to the re-education training, that is because conservative media has lied to their audience for so long that they have made their audience functionally retarded when it comes to understanding the left. Every single person that has ever come and found my work has had to start over again from square fucking one, and that includes me. What makes this different is that we only use primary source content from the left. I do not use clickbait. I do not make ridiculous clout chasing content where I'm like Cam Higbee going to try to start fights with people at ICE facilities in order to get beat up so I can go viral on the internet. We watch their meetings. We watch their trainings. We listen to what they say in the real world. We go undercover with them. Not just me. There are many people in this community who go undercover with the far left. And in order to do that, we need to speak their language. And if you just arrived here and you've only ever watched conservative media, I promise you, you don't speak their language. And that is why all of this seems very confusing. But we will teach you. And I will do it completely for free because I am independently funded by people who send in channel memberships, people who send in super chats, people who subscribe to the Substack. Does the chat want to answer what the left's definition of capitalism is? Don't take my word for it. I'm going to ask the chat to answer. What is the left's definition of capitalism, chat? What is the, if you watched my interview with Harrison Smith earlier, you should know this. What is the left's definition of capitalism? Private property ownership, 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 private property ownership. By private property, they mean bourgeois property, property that you can use to create privatized personal wealth that creates economic disparities where some people have more money and power and land than other people. You have the haves, the have-nots, the bourgeois versus the proletariat, the oppressor versus oppressed. When they say bourgeois property, they mean your ability to own a home, your ability to own land, your ability to own an apartment rental that you rent out as a landlord, your ability to own intellectual property, your ability to own a private business, whether or not that private business is big or small. And they mean the parental rights over your children. Parental rights are considered to be a form of private property ownership because of generational wealth, also because of community care. We talk about that other places. If you don't know what community care means, we do. That's basically abolish the family stuff. And that is what they believe. If you do not know the left's definition of capitalism, you don't know shit. Because everything the left does comes back to their definition of capitalism. So time for you to go to school, Joe. Time for you to take the re-education course because you, oh yeah. Okay, Joe, here's the thing, bro. You're now pretending you knew the answer when you didn't know the answer. So what I'm going to do, Joe, is I'm going to time you out for the rest of the stream. We don't want to hear from you anymore. We told you to shut the fuck up and listen. You refuse to shut the fuck up. Now we are going to silence you because this is not a free speech channel. For people who are new, we are not a free speech channel here. This is a fascist dictatorship. I am the queen bee of this channel. I am at the top of the hierarchy. And if I don't want you to speak, then I will silence you. Anyway. Another way you can support my work is by heading over to Red Menace Supply Company. That is redmenacesupply.com. And I want to remind people that we have a couple of new designs in the merch store that you can get right now for 25% off. This is, they are 25% off because anytime we launch new designs in the store, we make them 25% off for the first week only. We have the amazing I Heart Whiteness design where whiteness means capitalism. You can get these on t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, and long sleeve shirts. If you want it on anything else, let me know. I personally like this one on the black. I think that looks cool. We have the Plague Doctor on the back, just being very cryptic. And then we also have the Put on the Glasses Plague Doctor They Live inspired design, also with the Plague Doctor on the back. Of course, you can pick both these designs up on whatever you want. You don't need a discount code. You just put them in your card and you will automatically get a discount. That discount lasts through Friday at midnight. So you only got a couple more days to get that discount. You can also pick up other merch like the McCarthy Was Right series, including the Are You an Anti-Communist shirt that I wore on Fox News one time. You're welcome. You can also get the Make Water Cannons Great Again shirt of water cannons spraying Antifa protesters. You can also get some cool Plague Doctor shit because the Plague Doctor is our mascot. We are like the hero, the anti-hero that goes into the plague-infested area to try to save as many people as we can. All of this is available in the Red Menace Supply Company. That is redmenacesupply.com, where you can get some awesome anti-communist merch and fund the work I'm doing at exactly the same time. Now, I'd like to move into watching the debate from last night. I want to see what happened. If you guys want to make calls for the DSA thing, please feel free to do so. You are totally allowed to do that. Also, if you guys appreciate, you got the timestamp? Yo, let's go. DM that to me. I want to watch the Matt Walsh thing. I cannot fucking believe that Matt Walsh mentioned me and was complimentary. This is like a fucking alternate universe. Do you guys understand that years and years and years ago, Matt Walsh literally stole my work directly out from under me and then took credit for it on Fox News? Matt Walsh also shit-talked me on Twitter as I was trying to build this platform, and I've basically been like, fuck Matt Walsh for years because he has literally tried to fuck up my work and my name multiple times. But you know what? Listen, I mean this when I say this. I got it, Reagan. I got it. I mean this when I say this. 44, thank you. I will literally work with anyone on the far left. And that includes Matt fucking Walsh. And even though Matt Walsh has done some ridiculous shit to me before, that's a long time ago. And I'm willing to let it go. And I'm willing to move on. And if Matt Walsh wants to play nicely, and this doesn't apply to just to Matt Walsh, by the way. This literally applies to everyone. Every single person that has ever hated me because they thought I was fucking crazy, and now they realize that I'm right about everything, and maybe they don't want to admit that they were wrong yet, but maybe they secretly realize that I've been right about everything I've been saying for years, and I've been miles ahead of them, and they finally put the chat on the screen. Oh, thank you for the reminder. Yeah, they finally come around to it. And, oh no. See, we got to ban you for that, bro. We got to ban you. We can't have that shit in the chat. Can't have that shit in the chat. I will not work with people who want to smear me on the internet. If people want to play nicely, then I will play nicely with them. And so if Matt Walsh wants to say nice things about me, I am completely open to it. And quite frankly, like I said, I am shocked beyond all belief that this probably he doesn't remember who I am is probably what happened. He probably just doesn't remember who I am because I've been so out of his sphere of like awareness for a while. But you know what? I'm willing to start fresh. Let's see what Matt Walsh had to say, and then we will watch the Democratic debate for governor in Wisconsin with the DSA candidate. Oh,
where the BLM had a narrative, and the body cam helped to support that narrative. It's never happened, and that streak will not be broken here. But they don't see it that way. And that's why the government of Madison is going all in on these riots. They've now endorsed the autonomous zone / blockade that's been set up by communists near the site of where Ruiz was shot. In fact, as you can see here, they're placing city trucks alongside the barricade to support it. To be clear, those are city trucks that have been deployed by the local government participating in an illegal blockade of public streets.
True.
This is how socialism works. The government terrorizes its own population into submission. And I'm not making this up. This is from an article that was just published in WMTV, a local news station, first flagged by a journalist named Karlyn Borysenko.
Yo!
District 6 Elder Dave Meyer said he has heard from more than 100 constituents in recent days. He said the city has been working on basic services, including a plan to use city salt trucks as street blockades in place of the seized trash cans. The city has also placed portable restrooms in the area. Meyer said a homeless population has also moved into the zone, adding to disruptions. I don't think the city wants to see a permanent takeover of this intersection, Meyer said. But we also don't want to see a violent clearing of it either. So it's working with all of these parties to find a resolution, which is difficult, which takes time. Meyer said he hopes the city can begin pushing barricades back to reopen parts of the street, but said planning is being done hour by hour. So it won't be a permanent takeover, he assures everyone, but he doesn't have the right to do any kind of takeover, permanent or otherwise. He's committing a crime by organizing and establishing a blockade of a public street.
True.
And by the way, it's not difficult. This is another thing that the communists always do. When you've got a problem that's actually really easy to solve, and they say, well, this is really difficult. This is going to take time. This is going to take days. This might take years to figure out. It might take years to figure out. What do? You got a bunch of vagrants and hobos taking up a city intersection. It's really difficult. It's a very complex problem, they claim. No, it isn't. You go in there and you drag them out by force.
So real.
And then you throw them in jail. Problem solved. You can solve it in 10 minutes.
Agree.
Easy to do.
Bulldozers.
But again, no one in Madison cares about any of this, just like they don't care about the fact that Corey Ruiz was a lifelong degenerate who clearly deserved his fate. Their only goal is to make these riots go nationwide in time for the midterm elections. That's why these socialists, mostly white people, you'll notice, are busy rehearsing their chants for Corey Ruiz.
They're not rehearsing. They do them all the time. Yo, I know someone who was there. This isn't rehearsal. This is just what they do.
Now, the hysteria, the race mania is in full swing in Madison again.
It's not about
They
race.
believe that body cams would validate their delusions about what happened here. So now they're pro body cam. And make no mistake about it, the moment they realize they're wrong about this and the body cams quash a few of their narratives before they get off the ground, they'll do yet another 180 on body cams. They were pro body cam, anti body cam, pro body cam again. That's where they are now. They'll be right back at anti like next week. No question about it. These people have no interest in governing. They have no interest at all,
completely
really,
wrong,
beyond
Matt
their own
Walsh.
power.
Completely wrong.
That's why DEI police chiefs are spending their time in Dallas and Chicago instead of the city where they're supposed to be working. It's why they're now suddenly in favor of body cams after telling us that they're racist for years. Their flagrant hypocrisy is a function of their depravity.
All right, I guess that's it. I don't want to listen to him rant and rave about this and say wrong things. We're going to take the dub. It is universally acknowledged that I'm basically the only person covering what is going on in Madison, Wisconsin. Harrison Smith said it earlier today. Matt Walsh is literally getting his coverage from fucking me. Of course. And guess what? We got another Zero Hedge W today. Zero Hedge apparently covered my work again. So everyone go here and make sure you reply to Zero Hedge and thank Zero Hedge for covering my work again and tell them how awesome I am and thank them. This is an article that they posted today. Far left foot soldiers. I'm reading this for the first time, by the way. You guys can't see it. I'm reading this for the first time. I haven't seen this yet. Far left foot soldiers linked with Black Lives Matter and Antifa have established a 2-block autonomous zone in Madison, Wisconsin. Blah, blah, blah. True. Lots of stuff I don't care about. The encampment appears to designed to demonstrate control over public space while creating conditions in which any police intervention can be framed as state repression. True. However, reporting from local media and anti-communist commentator, I prefer cult leader to commentator Zero Hedge, Karlyn Borysenko, suggests the local government is accommodating and potentially enabling the occupation rather than moving to dismantle it. So who's funding the barricades and the porta potties in the BLM Antifa Autonomous Zone? The Craze. Corey Ruiz Autonomous Zone. It's literally called the Craze. In Madison, Wisconsin, you're not going to believe the answer, and I have the receipts to prove it. Borysenko wrote on X. So they're sharing a tweet that I sent with a video, which is awesome. Borysenko pointed to reporting from local media outlet WMTV 15 that says municipal government funding is part of funding the Craze. And I have another video too. They posted 2 videos of me Here's more color. We basically just heard Matt Walsh say this. District 6 Alderman Davey Mayer said he heard from more than 100 constituents in recent days. The city has been working on basic services, including a plan to use city salt trucks as street blockades in place of the city's trash cans. The city has also placed portable restrooms in the area. I don't think the city wants to see a permanent takeover of this intersection, but we don't want to see violent clearing of it either. So it's working with all of these parties to find a solution, which takes time. Borysenko, who is funding craze and the leftist takeover of several city blocks? The city, the taxpayers. Yep. So, look at that. Am I on a generational run or what? Is this my next generational run? I have been featured in Zero Hedge twice in 2 days. I got featured on Harrison Smith's show today for being the only fucking person covering what's going on in Madison, Wisconsin. Even Matt Walsh gave me a shout out, which I literally think I'm living in the fucking Twilight Zone that happened. Alex Jones followed me today on Twitter. Like, we need to get Alex Jones to interview me. Can we all agree on that? It's time for Alex Jones and I to have a conversation. So W's all around. Guys, if you want to fund the work I'm doing, because I am 100% independently funded, now is a great time to send in channel memberships. The reason we do channel memberships is because I think it's a great way to get people involved in the community. We did a spy stream earlier today where we went inside a live leftist organizing call, but most of the time, spy streams are for channel members and supporters on my Substack. They are supporter exclusive. So we give out as many channel memberships as possible to give as many people as possible access to spy stream. I would love to get 50 more channel memberships at least given out today to fund the Karlyn Needs a Security Detail in Madison, Wisconsin fund, which is actually a real thing. I'm going to Madison, Wisconsin. I've decided I would like security to make sure that I'm safe. And I just basically want a big beefy man to follow me around everywhere and make sure I don't get this shit kicked out of me. This is going to cost some money. And if you guys want to help me crowdfund that, I would appreciate it so that I can come back and be alive. And that would be awesome. W Shikalago, appreciate that. Yeah, I think it's when am I going on Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan has had on many people that are worse than me. It's time. We're going to let fate take care of that, though. Dottie girl, I so appreciate the 5 channel memberships. WCU, Cynthia, the Emerald Queen, Cynthia. Thank you, Cynthia. Another 20. This is Cynthia's third drop of 20 channel memberships today. Everyone put Emerald Squares in the chat for Cynthia. We appreciate her, our Emerald Queen, very, very, very much. We are up to 78 channel memberships. We just got Deets in there with a membership, so I'm going to add that, Deets. Hang on. And I'll give you a W in a moment, good sir. Guys, when people give out channel memberships, we give W's in the chat because they're not only funding my work, they're also funding and supporting the community, and that's awesome. So if we can get 21 more channel memberships today to get past 100, that would be rad. We're going to be watching this debate. I will answer questions. I will break down the information. Let's see what happened in the governor's race for the Democratic nomination in Wisconsin last night. Kimmy on Rumble, W's Rumble. Rumble donating a channel membership. Rumble, you guys can get in on this too. Rumble, you guys can give me money too. You don't have to let YouTube have all the fun here. You guys can give money too, just so you know. I would appreciate Rumble a lot more if they donated more to the stream. That would be rad. Yo, we got $100. Uncle Creepy. What a great name. Uncle Creepy W. How rare is an Uncle Creepy W? Normally a creepy uncle is a really bad thing, but today's a creepy uncle is giving me $100. So fuck it. Uncle Creepy W, bro. Here you go, sweetheart. You are brave, smart, and are working hard to stop these leftist nuts. I so appreciate that. Very, very generous. Thank you so much for your support. Really, really appreciate it. All right. We got 20 more channel memberships to go. Let's watch this debate and let's see what happened last night in Wisconsin.
Tonight, a WYSN 12 Commitment 2026 election special. An unprecedented race for Wisconsin governor. State Democrats in a hellstorm.
What does that say about you as a leader?
Money troubles, scandal, upheaval.
By the way, I am fully prepared for this to be complete fucking cringe. We are going to be hearing I have not listened to establishment Democrats in so long. Do you guys understand how long it's been that I have listened to an establishment Democrat? I focus on socialism, okay? Democrats and socialists are not the same thing. So I'm actually really curious about what establishment Democrats are even saying these days, and I think it's going to be really cringe and bad, and we should make fun of them. This is an opportunity. I'm allowing people to make fun of the Democrats, and even the DSA candidate. You're allowed to make fun of anyone we're watching tonight. We're going to have a good time with this because it's going to be kind of painful to watch it, how bad this is going to be. But I want to see how the DSA candidate actually perform because I think she might win. And if she wins, Wisconsin is so fucked. If the DSA candidate wins the nomination for governor, she is going to be the governor of Wisconsin. So we need to prepare ourselves for that eventuality. But let's just acknowledge this is probably going to be really bad, and you're allowed to make fun of the people on the screen, okay?
Just kind of, all right. Rodriguez just dropped out.
5 candidates remain in a fractured Democrat field, just days from the primary to decide.
By the way, there is also a tranny running for the nomination that is not in the debate, and the tranny's name is Dina Nina. So I'm really disappointed that we are not hearing from Dina Nina tonight, because Dina Nina actually seems to be a delight. I've seen several of Dina Nina's videos on Instagram, and so sadly we will not be hearing from, I just like saying Dina Nina. Like, what a great tranny name, honestly. W. Tranny running for governor of Wisconsin.
Who will take on likely Republican nominee Tom Tiffany. Tonight, their first and only televised debate. At a critical juncture in Wisconsin history, former Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes.
We've been all across Wisconsin taking the fight directly.
Thank you, Uncle Creepy. Appreciate
former
it.
Tony Evers cabinet member Joel Brennan.
And I am in this race, and I'm committed to continuing in this race because Wisconsin values are at risk.
Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley.
Wisconsin,
and thank you for signing up on Substack. I appreciate the Substack support.
I am re-entering this race.
State Representative Francesca Hahn.
I am the
DSA.
only candidate in this race who takes income and power inequality seriously as the most urgent crisis of our times.
Guys, and I swear to God, I'm going to stop interrupting, but like, maybe I'm not going to stop interrupting. It's my stream. I'll do what I want. I want people to pay close attention to the talking points the DSA candidate is using in this debate and understand that this is how DSA candidates all over the country are speaking to voters in your area. This is not just this one DSA candidate. This is the talking points that they are using everywhere.
State Senator Kelda Roys.
Now is not the time to move backwards and be in more disarray.
And now, live from the campus of Marquette University in downtown Milwaukee.
Marquette. Whoa.
Tonight's moderators, WYSN 12 Political Director Matt Smith.
Thank
and
you.
upfront co-host, 12 News anchor Jaron Jordan.
Jaron Jordan.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome.
Wow.
We are live tonight from the Marquette University campus.
We thank our audience across Wisconsin for joining us for the first and only televised debate between the Democratic candidates in the primary for Wisconsin governor. Mandela Barnes, Joel Brennan, David Crowley, Francesca Hahn, and Kelda Roys, we thank you all for being here with us tonight.
The top vote getter in the August primary will take on the likely Republican nominee, Tom Tiffany, in November. With Tony Evers not seeking re-election, it is the first wide-open race for governor since 2010. First tonight, a few ground rules. This is a debate, but we'll be having a conversation. We'll be discussing some of the key issues facing Wisconsin. Candidates are asked to state their positions, stay on topic, and to be concise. The candidates may speak to each other, but we will manage the time on any given topic and move the conversation along if necessary.
At the end, each candidate will make a brief closing statement. It is fair to say that this race has been chaotic over the last few weeks, so let's get right to it.
Mr. Crawley, 3 weeks ago, you dropped out of this race saying you couldn't see a path to victory. 11 days ago, the primary upended when Sarah Rodriguez dropped out, and you made the unprecedented move of re-entering the race with an immediate endorsement from Governor Tony Evers. Since then, you have been linked to a social media account that includes offensive posts. You said you didn't write any of those.
Oh,
and
my
some have
word.
accused you of being the latest prop for the Democratic establishment. So, are you, and why should
what are the offensive posts? Can anyone look up what offensive post did a fucking Democrat make?
voters now trust your judgment and ability to win?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having us. But I was never born into the establishment. I
Oh,
was
he's
actually
black.
born into
It'll be
struggle.
fine.
I grew up in the 53206 zip code where I had to work extremely hard for everything that I have. And so I'm not here to protect
Doesn't this seem like SNL? For people who don't watch Socialism with me all the time, you might not understand this, but I feel like I'm watching Saturday Night Live. I really do. I feel like I am watching a parody of an election, but this is fucking real. This is not SNL. This is not comedy. This is real. This is really the way our system works.
the establishment. I'm here to deliver real results for Wisconsinites all over our states. And, I like to make decisions based off of the data, based off of facts. And we learned ever since that day that a lot of things have changed and we were going off of false data. And so we know that the stakes are too high this upcoming election. And that's why I got back into this race. And I'm honored to not only have the endorsement of Governor Tony Evers,
this guy would be played by
labor
Kenan
unions
Thompson.
and leaders all across this state who believe in my leadership. And I'm looking forward to delivering for all of Wisconsin.
Ms. Hong, you are the Democratic Socialist who is leading in all of the polls, yet some Democrats are attempting to stop you from winning, fearful that you cannot beat Republican Tom Tiffany. Just this weekend, the co-chair of the Democratic Socialist of America, which you are a member, reaffirmed the DSA's position of abolishing the Senate, prisons, and replacing the presidency and the Supreme Court as we know it. Do you fully back the DSA platform, and why should primary voters trust your judgment and your ability to win statewide?
Well, first, thank you so much to the team at WISN and Marquette University for hosting this important debate. I do not support the full platform of the national DSA, and I am not endorsed by DSA National.
Okay. I want to make something very, very clear. Francesca has just done a play on words, hoping you guys don't understand what she's talking about, okay? The national platform of the DSA is a huge-ass document. I don't know how many of you have ever been involved in Libertarian Party politics, but I had the sad and painful experience of being involved. I swear this is relevant. I was involved with Libertarian Party politics for 2 years, including being a delegate to the Libertarian National Convention in 2022, where the Libertarian Party decided its national platform. When a party decides, and I think this is true of the Democrats and Republicans too, although they do it more secretly than the DSA and the Libertarian Party, when a political party decides their national platform, there's like 137 things on that list. It is not just a couple of things. It is, here is what we believe on every single possible issue known to humanity, and they have to vote on everything. And then the people who vote for the things, they end up controlling the platform, or like whatever. When Francesca Hong says, just to be clear, I don't support the entire DSA national platform, she is not saying she doesn't support abolishing the police. She is not saying she doesn't support abolishing the Senate. She isn't saying that she doesn't support the things that she was just asked about. She is saying there is some element in the 137 things in the DSA national platform. Of those points, I disagree with a couple of them. And she's not telling us what exactly she disagrees with. She's just saying, no, I don't support the entire platform. Well, the entire platform is not just those three things. The entire platform could be, the DSA could have some weird provision in their platform saying, we support the right of, trannies to own a machine gun or something like that. And Francesca Hong could be like, maybe I don't think people should own machine guns. that literally could be it. I'm making that up, by the way, but like it literally could be something as ridiculous as the DSA saying, we think that all trans people should own machine guns, and they got people to vote for that into the platform. And Francesca Hong is like, no, I don't think that's such a good idea. And if it's something stupid like that, she can come out and tell and honestly say, I don't support the whole platform, but she's not speaking to the issues that they just asked her about. So I really want to make sure people see the language game that she's playing, because she didn't say she didn't agree with those things. She said she didn't agree with the entire DSA platform. Okay. So let's go back and listen to that little sleight of word again.
To win statewide.
Well, first, thank you so much to the team at WISN and Marquette University for hosting this important debate. I do not support the full platform of the national DSA, and I'm not endorsed by DSA National. What democratic socialism is a form of government that puts working class people first, that puts work first. The policies that we have been working on, permanent affordability, has broad bipartisan support in every corner of the state. Well, things like fully funding our public schools, ensuring that we are doing right by our kids and cutting property taxes, taxing the ultra wealthy and mega corporations, ensuring that we can invest in free childcare and that everyone has access to affordable housing. And we are the only campaign to support a moratorium on AI data centers, and we have found broad bipartisan support. I am looking forward to helping the Democrats become the big tent party that they've aimed to be for many years.
Mr. Barnes, you were once seen as the clear frontrunner in this race. You previously lost a statewide election for U.S. Senate when the field cleared for you. In fact, last year, the Milwaukee Courier said, we need a candidate who can unite this state and win. Mandela Barnes already showed us he can't. And Governor Tony Evers recently endorsed David Crowley over you. So why should primary voters now trust you that you can win statewide this time?
Well, thanks so much for the question, and thanks so much for having me. There's not a single person on this stage who's united all shades of blue of the Democratic Party as I have before. Now, that race in 2022, it was the closest U.S. Senate race in the state in over 100 years. It was the closest challenge to any incumbent across the entire country. No incumbent lost statewide. Now, while D.C. insiders like Chuck Schumer didn't see the race as winnable, Republican billionaires certainly did. They spent over $50 million to defeat me, and I only lost by 1 point, 26,000 votes.
That's actually wild.
Now, I can tell you, having been the only person on this stage who's actually won statewide in 2018, when we kicked Scott Walker out of office for good, that race was also decided by 1 point. Now, I've been on both sides of the coin, and you learn a whole lot more when you lose. When you win, you think you did everything right. But when you come up that short, you have a whole lot of time to think about the things that went wrong. You learn about the devastating impact of big money in politics. You also learn about how low Republicans can get. And I can tell you right now, we have the resources and we have the support to get it done. And on the terms of Governor Evers, I have zero interest in upholding the status quo. I have zero interest in being the establishment candidate. That is the difference right here on the stage, because I am pushing the envelope to make sure that we are as bold as we can possibly be in the Donald Trump era, because that's what people have been calling for Democrats to be all along. We have not truly met the moment.
Thank you.
Mr. Brennan and Ms. Royce, you are both polling in the single digits and have been since the start of this race. At this point, are primary voters wasting their vote on a vote for you, Mr. Brennan?
Well, here's what I would tell you is I don't think primary voters have been paying much attention until the last 2 weeks and all the upheaval that you have seen. This is what I find when I am going out around the state is that, you know, and this has been verified by polls that was done here by my alma mater at Marquette, because about half the people at this point haven't made a decision. And so that is a lane that's opening up. The challenge that I have had from day one is not that anybody thinks I'm unqualified for the office. I served as the top appointee to Governor Evers. We created the largest budget surplus in state history. We increased the rainy day fund. We got billions of dollars out to family farms, to small businesses, to renters who needed it during COVID. So all of that stuff puts me in good stead. The challenge I have had is that people don't know me as well as they know some other candidates around the state. And so what I have found in recent days is that the disruption, the upheaval, somebody putting their thumb on the scale, it has gotten people much more engaged and much more interested in this race. And day by day, I am feeling that momentum, and I'm feeling people who want somebody who can beat Tom Tiffany in the fall and who can hit the ground running on day one. And I will put my qualifications on those issues up against anybody in this race.
Mr. Brennan, thank you. Ms. Royce, you are continuing to poll in the single digits as well. At this point, are primary voters wasting their vote on a vote for you?
if you want the best public schools in the nation for your children, if you want to open up the state's healthcare plan so that everyone can buy in and we can lower costs for all Wisconsinites, if you want a candidate who is going to stand up and fight Donald Trump and bring an end to this authoritarian regime, then you should vote for me. I am the candidate in this race that brings the most experience in and around state government, with 10 years of service in the legislature and the only one who served on the state budget committee. I've also been an executive in the private and nonprofit sectors, and for over 20 years, I've been the candidate that has turned progressive ideas, like the kind that all of us have on this stage, into law. That kind of experience is absolutely essential. And voters need to think about not just who can beat Tom Tiffany, although that is important, not just who can deliver a Democratic legislature, although that is vitally important, but who can actually do the job on day one.
White lady
and I am
ain't winning
proud to have
either.
earned by far the most endorsements of any candidate in this race, including the most endorsements in Milwaukee County, the most largest labor union endorsement with WEAC, the state teachers union, and the endorsement of former Lieutenant Governor Barbara Lawton.
Thank you all. Last week, a Madison police officer shot and killed a man. Tonight, the investigation and the protests continue.
Let's go.
Governor Tony Evers has called for transparency and accountability and urged for peaceful protests. Ms. Hong, in the hours following the shooting, standing alongside protesters, you said, quote, "The state-sanctioned violence was an execution." Would you make those immediate declarations as governor, even though an investigation had not yet started?
No, the governor has the largest microphone in the state, and there comes deep responsibility with that. But what we saw in videos and what I had talked to folks who had witnessed that, I think what we saw, it was clearly the type of violence where no one's life should have been taken. My thoughts are with Corey Ruiz and his family, and I hope that the accountability and transparency that both the Governor Evers and I have called for, the independent investigation, the investment in body cameras. We want local governments to be able to invest in public safety, to be serious about public safety, and I plan to be a partner in that.
Okay, I just want to be very clear about what just happened. She just agreed with every demand the people that are doing that autonomous zone, she just agreed with every demand the protesters wanted. So Francesca Hong is being a politician. She is obviously practiced in her answers. These are scripted answers. She is speaking very carefully. She is choosing her words extremely carefully. But she just agreed with every single demand the protesters are making. And what that means is if Francesca Hong wins the Democratic nomination, which it kind of looks like she's going to, that encampment is not going to stop anytime soon. Okay? If she wins the nomination, that encampment is going to be there minimally until snow starts falling, and then they might have to figure something else out because it will be cold outside. But that's what you just saw. So it might seem like people might say, oh, she's trying to backtrack. No, she's not. There was no backtracking in that answer at all. She will give the protesters anything they want.
You've also called to defund and abolish police before, while saying your ideal world is one without prisons. Would you sign a bill or budget that cuts funding for police departments?
No.
No. Why not?
Yeah, why not, Francesca?
The governor cannot defund police, and I'm not here to govern by slogan. I'm here to make sure that I am the governor that is most serious about public safety. And that means investing in the things that we know prevent crime, and getting resources to victims, and ensuring that the people who are incarcerated and the folks who are working in our prisons are able to live a life of dignity and work with dignity. I think it's important that we invest in communities, including our public schools, out of school programs, and mental health resources, and attacking the opioid epidemic. These are things that are proven to prevent crime. And
okay, I want to be very clear again, because Francesca is choosing her words very, very, very carefully. She did not say she didn't support the defunding of the police. What she said was, it is not the governor's job to defund the police. She didn't say she didn't support it. She said, it's not the governor's job. Listen again.
Not here to. The governor cannot defund police, and I'm not here to govern by slogan.
See?
I'm here to make sure that I am the governor that is most serious about public safety. And that means investing in the things that we know prevent crime, and getting resources to victims, and ensuring that the people who are incarcerated and the folks who are working in our prisons are able to live a life of dignity and work with dignity. I think it's important that we invest in communities, including our public schools, out of school programs and mental health resources, and attacking the opioid epidemic. These are things that are proven to prevent crime, and this is what will help to make sure that we have a government that is serious about public safety.
Mr. Barnes, you have previously shown support for reducing police funding and abolishing ICE. Following the Madison shooting, you said you were deeply disturbed and pained. Would you sign a bill or budget that cuts funding for police departments?
First of all, we should all be very disturbed by what we saw in those images, what we saw in the video. And we should fight as hard as we possibly can as a state, as a people, as a society, to make sure that never happens again. And body cameras, of course, are the norm. It should be the norm. And I wish that the Madison Police Department did have those body cameras. So, of course, I would not sign a budget that reduced funding, because obviously that police department needs the funding to have body cameras.
Ms. Royce, after the Madison shooting, you said we do not have to accept this as inevitable. We can create a more fair, safe world. Would you sign a bill or budget that cuts funding for police departments?
No, but I think we need to actually fund local communities so that we can do evidence-based programs that actually reduce and prevent crime. At the end of the day, I'm a mom and stepmom of 5. I want my kids and every kid to be safe in our communities, and I want law enforcement officers to be safe in our communities. That means that we have to invest in proven strategies that actually do that, unlike what Republicans like Tom Tiffany have done, which is cut funding to local governments and take away local control so that communities don't have the resources to be able to actually solve these problems effectively. I am really proud, as the only attorney on the stage, to be someone that has fought for and passed criminal justice reforms to make us more safe and more just. I have taken on racial disparities in areas from health to criminal justice. And I believe that Wisconsin can be a place where everyone has the freedom to thrive, but not if we aren't willing to tackle these really tough issues.
Mr. Brennan, after the shooting in Madison, you are also calling for a full DOJ investigation. Would you sign a bill or a budget that cuts funding for police departments?
Of course I wouldn't. And I think, as others have said here, there's been a generation of disinvestment and a broken system between the state, the broken partnership between state and local government. And so we need to make sure that we're robustly funding that. It has been demonstrated this 115-year-old contract that we have had between state and local government worked pretty well for the first 80 years. And then the Republicans just turned off the spigot and stopped funding local government. So we need to make sure we do that. On the larger issue of criminal justice reform, we need to look a little bit to our neighbors to the west. In Minnesota, they spend about $215 per capita on criminal justice in that state. They're about the same size. They have about the same crime rate. We have about 3 times as many people incarcerated. In Wisconsin, we spend about $315 per capita on that. As a long-term target, spending that $600 million difference that they spend on other things in Minnesota, spending those on early childhood, on K-12 education, on other programs in Wisconsin, that would be the kind of investment over the long term that would put us in better stead and keep us from having fewer of these incidents, because they should outrage all of us, but there are ways that we can make a difference on those by spending our money differently.
Mr. Brennan, thank you. Mr. Crowley, without first seeing any video, you said that you were horrified by the reports of the shooting and immediately pointed to other police shootings in Kenosha and Minneapolis.
No Fed posting in the chat.
Did you rush to judgment with your comment, and would you sign a bill or budget that cuts funding for police departments?
No, I did not rush to judgment with my comments. My thoughts and prayers are not just with Corey and his family and friends, but with the entire Madison community and everybody who's been affected and re-traumatized by this. Again, we have seen these types of incidents happening here locally with Jacob Blake, as well as George Floyd in Minnesota. And so it's extremely important that we have transparency. We cannot defund the police. We should be investing in public safety. And that doesn't mean more money to police officers. That's like investing in systems like the community violence interruption.
It's all good.
Milwaukee
Thank you.
County, we have been a leader in actually helping to reduce violent crime here in Milwaukee County, working directly hand in hand with not just police departments, but also community organizations. And so we have to focus on not just investing upstream, but making sure we wrap around services around families so that they don't have to go down the road of criminality in the first place.
Madison police currently do not have police body cameras. Raise your hand if, as governor, you would sign legislation requiring all police and sheriff's departments in Wisconsin to have body cameras.
All of you.
All candidates.
Let's move on to the economy. Tonight, Wisconsinites overwhelmingly say inflation and the cost of living is the most important issue ahead of this election. The failed tax relief deal negotiated by Governor Tony Evers and Republican leaders would have delivered rebate checks to Wisconsinites, directed money to local schools to lower property taxes, increased special education funding, and eliminated taxes on tips and overtime. It failed in the state Senate. I'd like you to raise your hand if, as governor, you would have signed that deal into law if it passed.
If it passed?
If it passed, would you have signed it into law? 1, Mr. Crowley.
Ms. Royce, you were one of the 15 Democratic senators who helped kill the deal. Why?
Because at the end of the day, my job is to be a responsible steward of taxpayer dollars. And this would have created a $2.9 billion deficit down the road, which our schools and our healthcare system and our local governments cannot afford. It also would have—
Malcolm, out of nowhere, comes in and drops 10 channel memberships in the chat. W's to you. Thank you so much, Malcolm. You rock. One of the best supporters on the channel currently. So appreciate all your support, bro. You're super, super, super generous, putting us just 10 away from 100 gifted channel memberships. Guys, I would love to bring in 100 gifted channel memberships today. Keeps me independently funded, lets me sit here with you guys and watch streams on the internet, explain stuff and break stuff down. I do not take any political money. I have no political masters. My only job is to show up and to show you guys the primary source evidence and to tell you the truth. And I stay 100% independently funded because you guys send in channel memberships and super chats. And I so appreciate it. Thank you for letting me do what I do. Yo, Cynthia. Cynthia comes in. Cynthia's like, I'll do it. Don't worry. I'll do it. Cynthia, you rock. Emerald Queen, Emerald Squares in the chat for the Queen Cynthia, the legend of Cynthia. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for getting us across that finish line. Now, listen, you guys can still send in channel memberships, okay? You can still send in more. Just because we reached 100, we don't have to turn it off. But I do appreciate the support. We've met our goal for today, and that is what matters. So thank you for letting me do what I do. I really appreciate it.
Spent the surplus before it had even materialized. Look at what is happening with the economy. When we are spending money that we do not yet have and spending it in ways that do not actually help us solve the long-term problem of getting more money into our public schools, giving property tax relief to property taxpayers, and making sure that we have a more fair, just tax system, all we are doing is throwing that money away on a political gimmick that was frankly cooked up by Robin Vos as he sees the blue wave coming and wanted to do anything that he could to either protect his members from losing their seats and run away from their terrible record on public education, which Tom Tiffany is partially responsible for.
Quickly, that projected deficit factored in zero economic growth. Would you consider zero economic growth? Would that be part of a Roy's administration if you cite that deficit?
I'm looking at having a president who is hell-bent on making things as expensive and challenging for families across the state, and a congressman running for governor who has done nothing but rubber stamp Trump's agenda 100%.
Thank you. Mr. Crowley, you're the only one who raised your hand to sign the deal. Why would
Cynthia understands my desire to have a big, beefy man follow me around and just make sure I don't get hurt in Madison. Cynthia understands. I know you guys understand too. Who wouldn't want a big, beefy man following them around, like guarding them? I mean, come on, please.
you have signed it into law?
Well, I would have signed it into law because we would have gotten a bipartisan deal actually done. I think folks understand here in the state of Wisconsin, when you have divided government, it can be a bit chaotic.
Tomorrow is
Were there
Thursday,
things in this bill that I did not like? Absolutely. I love the fact that we were going to give relief to our schools and property tax relief, and there are other things in this bill that I didn't like. At the end of the day, we know that there are many Wisconsin families who are desperate. We should be focusing on how we lift them up and not playing politics. And so I would have signed that bill because that means it would have passed with bipartisanship.
Congressman Tom Tiffany is campaigning on the fact that he would return the entire surplus, he says, to taxpayers. Ms. Hong, would you return the surplus to taxpayers, or how would you spend the projected $2.5 billion?
Those are the taxpayers' dollars, but investment is what we need. Thinking about our shared future, our kids. It is an investment when we invest in public schools and ensuring that we are cutting property taxes, but doing right for our kids. Our campaign is about permanent affordability and putting all of those surplus dollars back into taxpayers' money. I think that it would be irresponsible. And the reason why that surplus deal was so problematic is that those who are on fixed income would not have received that check. Folks who are lower income would have received less. I think it's important to think about some of the working class families across our state that deserve real relief, durable relief, and that deal was not it.
We should mention you did vote against that in the assembly. Quickly, what would you spend the surplus on?
Public education and healthcare.
Mr. Brennan, would you return it to the taxpayers, or would you spend it, and how would you spend it?
Well, I think Tom Tiffany and the Republicans have already shown their hands about how they'd return it to the taxpayers. There are 3 sections in the studio audience here tonight. If the poor people were, and the people on fixed income and Social Security were sitting over here, they would get nothing. The rest of us who are doing okay would get the $300 and $600. And by the way, if you want a stimulating effect by putting money into the economy, you put it in the hands of people who are going to spend it. And so that was part of the deal. The thing that I would have exercised in all of this is caution. Because we live in a Trump economy. I put together as the Secretary of Administration 2 budgets for Governor Evers, and we need to make sure that we are doing everything possible to be cautious in this time of Trump. The way that I would spend it, one, it would be cautious, but the first thing that I would spend, the first $100 million, which I will do in January, will go into childcare and early childhood education. It is a system that is broken. $1 billion of productivity sits on the sidelines every year, especially from women, mainly from women who can't find affordable, accessible, or high-quality childcare. It is a K-12 and workforce issue. That's the first place I'd spend $100 million. Then I would restart the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Fund with another $100 million. Like, those are the types of things that we can do. That's bipartisan effort. Those are bipartisan things that have been successful. The Knowles Nelson Stewardship Fund, 90% of us live within a mile of a project that's been enhanced by that over the last 40 years. It's as bipartisan as it gets. And
Thank you,
now,
W.
as of July 1, doesn't
Appreciate
exist anymore. Those are the types of things that we should be investing in.
Thank you. Mr. Barnes, would you send it back to taxpayers or spend it, and how would you spend it?
Well, let's first talk about how we got here. Now, the reason there is a surplus is because Republicans in the legislature have failed the people of Wisconsin. Our school districts are going to referendum every single year just to keep the lights on. And we also see gaps in healthcare because we are one of 10 states that has yet to expand our Medicaid program under the Affordable Care Act. We are in a world of trouble, and Robin Vos has never been a good negotiating partner. So no, I certainly wouldn't have signed the deal. But the way we give more money back to people, the way we actually return money to folks is by taxing the wealthy, taxing the billionaires, taxing these corporations that have been getting over on us, making money hand over fist while communities continue to starve for resources. This is how we can most effectively return money back to folks. And on the issue of affordability, the best way we can close the affordability gap is to put more money in the pockets of hardworking people. Our minimum wage is still $7.25. Costs have gone up, wages have not. But returning that money to the people, that means making the right investments in public education, making the investments in healthcare, taxing the wealthy, and implementing a working class tax cut for folks who work hard every single day and don't get the benefits that corporations get.
So quickly, what are you doing with the surplus?
Well, with the surplus, like I said, it's just reinvesting back into education. And also now, and also because of Trump's big ugly bill, there's going to be some stresses when it comes to expanding Badger Care, which I still support. It is the right thing to do for us. So many folks are staring down medical debt, medical bankruptcy.
We're going to move on.
Money into healthcare.
We're going to move on to taxes. We did bring up taxes, so let's move on to taxes. You all, in some degree, have used phrases like making the wealthy pay their fair share and discussed raising taxes on the rich to fund your priorities. Wisconsin already has the second highest top income tax rate in the Midwest at 7.65%. So we want to know what all of you define as rich. So, Mr. Barnes, under your plan, what is the specific income level where taxes would go up, and what percentage would that top tax bracket pay?
Yeah, so I think that incomes over $1 million should be taxed a little bit higher, even if it's temporary.
No, great, but I appreciate the offer. I'm going with the professional
right now, and our necessities have not been
seeing
the resources, have not been seeing the funding. Again, there's no reason these school districts should be going to referendum every single year just to fund basic services. And if we increase that tax rate by less than 1%, 0.9%, 0.8%, we do a great deal to be able to provide much more funding to our school districts and also help close the shared revenue
Is
gap.
that what you're proposing, 0.8 or 0.9%?
Well, I'm saying this is all, I'm happy to negotiate. This is
Okay.
what we need to negotiate, but this is the arena where I'm in right now.
Ms. Hong, the income level that you would raise taxes and how much?
Those who are making the $1,000,001. I think that the billion as well, to increase that to 0.9%. It is incredibly disappointing that some of our lowest income earners are paying a higher tax rate than some of our highest income earners. We need to return to a progressive income tax rate. It is how we build sustainable revenue and
How about
ensure
no
that we're
income
able
tax
to
like New
actually
Hampshire?
increase our tax base across the state, as more working class people are going to be attracted to coming to Wisconsin to live, work, and play here. I think that the legislation that I introduced that would tax the billionaire and add a millionaire tax bracket would lower property taxes by up to 44%. And we could put that funding into special education funding, which we have neglected to actually honor the budget amount. And we must bring that back up to 90% reimbursement.
And the percentage for those millionaires?
I would increase that by about.
The left has never really believed in equality. This is like a right-wing myth. When you're talking about equality, you're talking about Democrats and liberals. People like Francesca Hong she's a socialist. She doesn't believe in equality. She believes in equity. Equity means from each according to their ability, to each according to their need. It means the redistribution of resources. It means everyone can take the resources they need, regardless of whether or not they take equal amounts. So, like, equality is not a thing on the far left. It's all about equity. Equity means Marxism.
1%.
You would increase that to about 8.65.
Correct.
Mr. Crowley, your income level and how much would you tax them?
Well, let's be very clear. It's just not the income tax, but it's also the property taxes that are also extremely high in the state of Wisconsin.
Yep, and we'll talk about that next.
Okay, well, when we talk about income taxes, what we really need to be focusing on is how do we actually fix this system moving forward? What we need to do is take a holistic view of our taxes here in the state of Wisconsin. The last time that we took a holistic view of how we spend our money and bring in revenues was in 1986 when Governor Tommy Thompson was actually governor. And so we need to bring academics, we need to bring labor, we need to bring business owners and community members to the table, and let's actually have a real discussion about the entire system. I don't think that we should be just focusing on how we can increase taxes just particular for certain income earners when we haven't looked at the entire system. When it comes down to those who are making hand over fist, we absolutely need to tax the ultra wealthy, but we need to be smart about how we're doing things long term.
Do you have an income level or a percentage for that?
Well, I think we always got to look at those who are making more than $1 million or more. Absolutely.
And do you know how high you'd like to tax them?
No, I think that we have to look at the entire system holistically.
Ms. Royce, your income level and percentage you would tax them looking to raise taxes.
I agree with my colleagues that anyone who's earning over $1 million a year should pay a slightly higher tax rate. But we also need to look at the corporate tax giveaways that have run rampant over the last 15 years of Republican rule. We have rolled out the red carpet for Foxconn. The AI data center tax breaks are estimated to cost us $2 billion. All that at a time when we are spending $0 on early childhood education, when our public schools have been starved of resources, jacking up people's property taxes just to help our kids keep teachers in the classroom. So as a small business owner, it offends me that the largest businesses in the state are not only not paying their fair share of taxes, but they're often getting public resources. These are going to big polluters, big corporations, out-of-state corporations. They're not tied to job creation. And we need to not just tax the wealthy, but make sure that big corporations pay their fair share too.
Do you have a specific percentage in mind?
I think it's concurrent with what my colleagues have talked about.
Mr.
You're
Brennan.
going to find that I have general agreement that people making over $1 million should pay a little bit more, and we could talk about what that is. But I also think that there are other things, the manufacturing and agricultural tax credit, which is generally not paid to farmers and which has continued to increase to the tune of about $400 million. I would like to continue, we're talking about raising taxes on the rich. One of the real successes of Tony Evers is making sure that we have had middle class tax cuts and ensuring that we can continue to do that. Now, the other thing about this, however, is that, I like to win. And we are losing right now to Ohio, we're losing to Michigan, we're losing to Minnesota when it comes to economic development. And so if we're truly going to get to the Wisconsin that we need, if we're going to increase our population, if we're going to increase what we're getting out of our government, it's going to come from economic growth. And I think we need to make sure that we are aggressive in those things. You know, you don't need to tell me about Foxconn. I spent the first year of the Evers administration trying to figure out how do we get out of that $3 million obligation. Ultimately, we brought that down to $80 million, and we were able to invest and treat them like virtually every other company, and then be able to invest in Main Street businesses. So this is not just about how do we raise revenue, it's how do we raise revenue by taxes, it's how do we raise revenue through growth and making sure that we are growing our own and investing in economic development in our state.
Real quick before we move on, what if all the millionaires leave the state and go to a state near us that has a flat tax rate or a lower tax rate? Then all of these plans collapse, correct?
I think that's why you need that's why this needs to be a holistic strategy. You know, there's a whole bunch of ways in which people don't trust government and don't trust Democrats. And we better be in a position where we can demonstrate to them that when we're spending these things, they're also getting some benefit on it. So if all we're talking about is raising taxes, and if this is all going to be about how do we make sure that we
they for people who have never been to a leftist event before and you don't understand this, like, there is always a mutual aid tent at a far left event. Reagan says, I went to a mutual aid fair one time. They had a whole mutual aid themed event. I went to a mutual aid fair one time, and there was an area that looked like a free yard sale with free clothes. People would provide what they could, and people would take what they need. That is what mutual aid is, guys. It's not just cash, although it is that. It's like, you donate clothes, you donate food, you donate household items, you donate diapers, you donate water. Like, whatever. They donate what they want to, and then people take what they need. That is how mutual aid works.
We are doing that to people, penalizing. If it's just going to be penalties, then we are going to start to lose. We need to make sure we're growing with everybody.
Ms. Hong, do they leave the state?
You know, discussing that hypothetical is a little bit I'm confused about that.
Okay.
However, let's look at all the other policies that we have talked about that we have been fighting for with our campaign. When there is free childcare, when there is fully funded public schools, when we see some of these corporate loopholes and corporate welfare come to an end, when we have investment in rural roads, when there's legalization of cannabis, I think that we can improve the quality of life for millionaires and ensure that they too will be able to live, work, and thrive here in our state.
Let's talk about property taxes.
This past year, Wisconsinites saw the highest property tax increase in 3 decades. School property tax levies increased on average nearly 8%. Raise your hand if you as governor would commit to an across-the-board property tax decrease. All candidates agreeing to a across-the-board property tax decrease. We'll start with you, Mr. Barnes. How would you make that happen?
Well, first of all, we have to get school funding off of the property tax rolls. That's the biggest thing. The reason we have seen these historic property tax increases is, again, because communities all across the state of Wisconsin have voted to raise their own property taxes just to keep the doors open. It is a very irresponsible way to fund education, to fund our future, to prioritize our children. When I talked about Robin Vos not being a good negotiating partner, when I talked about the priorities in Wisconsin missing the mark, this is how we end up with a surplus, because our schools don't have the funding and the resources that they need. So what we need to immediately do is get to the state's constitutional commitment of 2/3 funding. We have to make sure our schools are fully funded. When our schools are fully funded, that burden doesn't fall on the property tax rolls. And then gradually over time, we'll be able to decrease property taxes.
We are there right now at 2/3 roughly?
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
Mr. Brennan, how do you make an across-the-board property tax decrease happen?
It was mentioned a little bit by Mandela, but this spring, when we all celebrated Chris Taylor's win, that same night, 72 school districts went to referendum, 60 of them for operations, just to keep the lights on, not to build a new middle school, not to build a new science classroom. That is as big a condemnation as we can get in Wisconsin. And so I would immediately scrap that funding formula, which is under lawsuit right now, but it's probably going to take 3 years for that to work its way through the courts. Our kids don't have 3 more years to wait. I would create a child-centric formula where every kid has value regardless of where you live. You add on for special needs. You add on for urban, rural poverty. poverty. You add on for English language learners. Like, that's how most other states have done this. And if you do that and you recommit to that 2/3 from the state, immediately that brings down property taxes for people, and it gives kids and teachers and parents what they need in the classroom. This is where we have failed. That student, the school funding formula has been around since 1993. It didn't work then, and it doesn't work now. So that's the first thing that we've got to do that would meet the needs of kids, but stop pitting property taxpayers against kids.
Ms. Hong, how do you bring property taxes down across the board?
As I mentioned, that we have already introduced legislation that would add a tax to the millionaire and increase the millionaire tax bracket as well as a billionaire tax. This would help us fund special education while lowering property taxes by up to 44%. It is essential that we return to 2/3 funding and make sure that we are bringing a responsible end to the voucher program.
Guys, I just want to point something out here. Trump calling this woman crazy is not going to work. She is very measured in her language. Her solutions will sound reasonable to average people. Trump coming around and saying, this woman is a communist and this is really stupid and you're all in, it's like, it's not going to work.
A program that currently the state is spending over $1.2 billion. And I think that it is not just public school funding that is raising property taxes. Robin Vos and the Republican-led legislature has been decreasing shared revenue, and it is a deep inadequate funding for our local governments. And they too have had to go to referenda, and many are increasing property taxes. So increasing the levies and giving our local governments the ability to raise more revenue, I think that this is how we're going to make sure that communities can invest in the things that and the programs that they absolutely deserve.
And we're going to get to education and vouchers here in just a second, Ms. Roy. So I do want to ask about property taxes. How do you bring property taxes down across the board?
The most important thing that we can do is appropriately fund our local governments and our public schools at the state level. That means getting to the 2/3 funding commitment that was made but has never been met. But it also means fixing the way that those dollars are distributed, because right now it's deeply inequitable. My family moved to rural Taylor County.
Inequity.
That's where I was a little girl. And they moved because of the quality of the public education system here in Wisconsin 47 years ago. Now, raising my kids in Dane County, I can see.
It's not even that. It's not even that. It's not even that. Endless says, I assume to most people the word communist has the same weight as the word Nazi. No, it's even worse. To a significant number of people, the word communist and socialist is now positive. It's not just that they think it's a meaningless word like Nazi. To an increasing amount of people, the words communist and socialist are not negative, they're not neutral, they're not meaningless, they are a positive characteristic. That is the problem.
That we have been shortchanging our kids, and that is not okay with me. So we do need more state resources to end this divisive cycle of referendums that are pitting neighbors against one another, grandparents against their grandkids' schools. I also am the only candidate in this race that actually has a plan, not just a wish, but an actual plan to bring that private voucher scheme to a responsible end, because the actual number is closer to $1.8 billion in each budget that is going directly out of the coffers of our local school districts into these private schemes. And they are unaccountable and they can discriminate against kids. And none of us as taxpayers should find that acceptable.
Mr. Crowley, how do you bring property taxes down across the board?
Property taxes are extremely high here in the state of Wisconsin. It's not just affecting the senior who's on a fixed income. It's also affecting that young person who may want to buy a home, and everybody's getting squeezed in every direction. And it's not just affecting homeowners. It's also affecting renters as well, because when property taxes go up, landlords, quite frankly, pass those down to those renters as well. And so we have to tackle property taxes by, one, investing in our education system, increasing the reimbursement rates as well for special education.
We should rename my channel the CAZ, the Karlyn Autonomous Zone. You guys are all in my little autonomous zone right now. Congratulations.
Because our school districts shouldn't have to choose between mandated services and whether or not they're going to have teachers. But as the only elected official who runs, county government representing 19 different municipalities, close to 1 million people, we have a lot of state mandated services. And with those state mandated services, those resources don't come down the pipeline. And so it's extremely important that we work at the state to make sure that we are getting local governments are getting enough resources to invest in things like public safety, because the state of Wisconsin is near the bottom or dead last when it comes down to investments and such.
We brought up vouchers, so let's talk about vouchers. Right now, about 30,000 Milwaukee children attend private schools using taxpayer-funded vouchers. Milwaukee was the first school choice program in the nation to help families who felt failed by the public school system, and still do so today. The program has since expanded statewide. As we've heard, some of you are calling to end the voucher program. Mr. Crowley, do you support eliminating or reducing vouchers in the city of Milwaukee?
Look, I am a proud MPS graduate, went to Milwaukee Public Schools. All three of my daughters go to public schools. So I believe in the power of our public education. I think to say that we're going to fully eliminate the voucher system overnight really doesn't take into account the impact towards our family, towards our teachers, and quite frankly, toward the public school system. You know, we've talked about how we went to referendum to make sure our public schools have what they need. And if we're going to referendum for the current capacity of students that they have now, how will we be able to bring on those students and make sure that we have great public schools moving forward? And so I don't think the question is whether or not we should have vouchers. The question should be, how do we continue to invest in our public schools to make sure that they are the school of choice?
So would you sign a bill that eliminated or reduced vouchers in Milwaukee?
To eliminate or reduce vouchers? No, but I don't believe in expanding vouchers in the state of Wisconsin.
Mr. Barnes, you're proposing a multi-year sunset of the program as you've described it. What does that look like specifically in the city of Milwaukee?
Well, let's first talk about the reason why parents feel failed by public schools. This all goes back to the lack of funding. This goes back to the state not meeting its 2/3 funding requirement, and schools have been starved of resources. So it will only be natural for parents to feel that way. I am also a proud Milwaukee Public School graduate, but I know, having gone to a school that was starved of resources, what that impact meant on a lot of my classmates. And I was very fortunate to know where I was going to go home at night. I was very fortunate to not have to worry about where my next meal came from. But that's not the reality that far too many of our students face. And when we're talking about education, we truly have to talk about the societal factors that impact how our students do or do not learn. If we have these exorbitant rates of child poverty, it is going to impact the way that they learn. And as I have talked about vouchers, the main line is accountability, because we have seen horror stories where voucher operators close doors overnight. These operators moved to Florida on the public dime. And so we have to first get the bad actors out of the system. Now, I believe public dollars belong in public schools. And if you receive a dime of public money as a private school operator, you should have to operate by a uniform set of standards. That means public governance. That means public accountability, public scrutiny. And if you cannot meet those standards, you should be taken out of the system. And I can tell you.
But do vouchers go down, or are they eliminated in the city of Milwaukee?
Well, I think that the income caps being lifted is a travesty, because that is what makes it a scheme. This no longer becomes a program for lower income parents to put their children in private schools. So there could be less vouchers in Milwaukee. It becomes a handout, and we can no longer, there's no justification for expansion of vouchers or lifting the caps if we have not fully funded our public schools. So yes, I would sign a bill that reduced them, because we have seen so much chaos with this system. We have seen, and look, a lot of students, and this is not an overnight thing by any means, but we do have to get serious about the delivery of education, specifically here in Milwaukee, but we also have to get serious about the societal issues that continue to plague our systems. We always have the conversation about education, but never about poverty.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Ms. Royce, at what point in your plan do vouchers go away for tens of millions of children in Milwaukee, tens of thousands of children in Milwaukee?
No student in Milwaukee or Racine who is currently enrolled in a voucher program and is happy there will be displaced, and they will be allowed to continue their education until they graduate, as will their siblings. However, all programs that take public money need to be subject to the same rules and regulations that public schools are. Right now, you can do corporal punishment in a voucher school. You don't have to have licensed teachers that undergo background checks. You can discriminate against teachers and against students, including cherry picking students and saying, no, we don't want a student with a disability. I think that's totally unacceptable as a taxpayer and certainly as a parent. Every single child deserves a high quality public education. And what we have with the statewide expansion is essentially a program that has subsidized the private choices of wealthy parents. The vast majority of students in the statewide expansion were already in private school at their parents' expense before taxpayers started picking up the tab. I believe that public dollars belong in public schools, and if you take even $1 of public money, you need to be subject to accountability. And yes, over time, I am going to bring the private voucher scheme to an end, as we increase the quality and the capacity of our public schools. Because the most important thing to me as a parent, and what I hope my legacy will be as governor, is to restore Wisconsin in our rightful place as the best public education state in the nation.
So a 3-year-old child, for example, in the city of Milwaukee would not qualify for a voucher under your plan?
Correct, unless they were enrolled in a 3K program or if their sibling was already in one.
Thank you.
Mr. Brennan, do you support ending or dialing back the state's voucher program? And specifically, what does that look like for Milwaukee?
Yeah, and I do support some putting back the cap on for the statewide program, which has come off. I think that we've already talked about some of the accountability. There's a transparency issue. We should pass a state law that says on your property tax bill, you can see how much the city, the county, the public schools, and how much vouchers are costing. Like, all of those things are important. I'm a proud parent. My kids went to Milwaukee Public Schools for about 22 years. But let me add a dose of reality here. There is not going to be a bill that passes in the legislature that is put on the governor's desk right now to end vouchers in Milwaukee. You know why? Because there are representatives in Milwaukee who represent the city of Milwaukee for whom more than half of the people who live there are sending their kids to private schools. Like, we have to live in the real world. This is an issue that is dividing Democrats, because in Milwaukee, what parents deserve is a great option. And I want to make sure our public schools are better than any, bar none. We have the largest achievement gap in the country right here in my hometown. That's not acceptable. So the results aren't what we want. We need to hold everybody accountable. You know who doesn't like accountability? Lousy schools, no matter what kind of school they are. So we need to make sure we are holding ourselves accountable, but we need to also make sure
I haven't heard talking points this boring in
living
years.
in the real world here, because I wouldn't put
I would literally shoot myself if my job was to cover the Democratic Party. Okay, I'm being hyperbolic. I would never actually do that. I would never off myself. That would never happen. But like, you guys, like, I literally have not heard talking points this boring in fucking years. If you guys are new and you have never watched Socialism with us before, you must understand it is like, let me just say this. Anyone who has watched Socialism with me before, it is absurd. It is fucking crazy to think that Democrats are socialists. Like, do you guys see now? Do people who have only been watching Socialism with me, like, lately, do you guys understand? Do people see how absolutely fuck off insane it is to call Democrats socialists? Like, Republicans say all the time, well, the Democrats are doing the bidding of the socialists. No, they're fucking not. They are not doing the bidding of the socialists in any way. They're implementing the policies the socialists want. No, they aren't. And the people who think they are have literally never watched Socialism with us. You have never actually heard real communists and socialists talk, because it is light years different than this. There is no relation. You heard the DSA earlier today, and the DSA are not even the most far left people in the world. The DSA are a couple of clicks away. They are not the most far left revolutionaries. And even the DSA is completely different than the boring ass talking points that we're hearing right now.
Legislators in a position where they're going to have to tell parents that they can't send their kids to the school.
But let's say a bill got to your desk. Would you sign a bill that reduced vouchers in the city of Milwaukee?
I wouldn't right now, because I think we need to make sure that we are doing right by everybody in the city of Milwaukee. There are changes to be made. The largest recipient of vouchers in the state, $44 million to a virtual school. Like,
no, bro, no. The DSA is using the Democratic Party to advance their own interests. That does not mean the Democrats are fucking socialist.
To things we can change.
Ms. Hong, you are calling for a responsible transition away from the, quote, unfair voucher program. Does that include fully eliminating vouchers in Milwaukee?
You know, I'm a very proud daughter of immigrants, a single mom, where my son is going to the same public school district that I came through in my hometown of Madison. I believe that public dollars not only belong in public schools, but one of the reasons that privatization has grown across the country is that, you know, it's public institutions of education that are one of our last remaining democratic institutions. And if we don't have strong public...
When she just said democratic, she didn't mean what we currently have. She meant socialism. Public schools are one of our last remaining socialist institutions. When socialists say the word democratic, they mean socialism because they think that socialism is the only true form of democracy. This is why you must learn to speak their language. Otherwise, you would not understand what she just said.
I believe that public dollars not only belong in public schools, but one of the reasons that privatization has grown across the country is that, it's public institutions of education that are one of our last remaining democratic institutions. And if we don't have strong public schools, we can't have a strong democracy. Our plan would ensure property tax transparency. I was in Luxembourg, Wisconsin, at the dairy breakfast talking to a gentleman who had no idea about the voucher program. And when he found out that the statewide program is where some of the public dollars were going into private.
The reason that she is opposed to vouchers is because anything that's privatized is capitalist. That's exactly right, Bot.
Schools, he was shocked. Ending that statewide program and implementing property tax transparency, and then moving to Milwaukee and Racine and looking at accountability and transparency measures that is uniform across what public schools are having to be audited for and the different regulations that public schools are responsible for. And I will say, I introduced the Healthy School Meals for All legislation, and that is a bill that would include all students in K through 12. It includes vouchers and includes private schools, schools for the visually impaired. And this is a type of bill that not only helps to reduce costs for families, but would help all students across the state.
So to the point of fully eliminating vouchers in Milwaukee, your plan?
It has to be a responsible program and process where we work directly with the families and the different schools where the voucher program, depending on how expansive it is in the school, but it would need to come to an end. And I can see, I don't want to put a firm number on it, but I do believe that, again, public dollars coming in public schools, understanding that we have built this system where it's deeply inequitable. And I think that it's important that we put in the responsibilities of working with our partners to end the program in Milwaukee.
Eventually a full end in the city of Milwaukee.
I believe that that is what bringing a responsible end to the voucher program is, Matt.
Thank you.
Let's talk about data centers. In Marquette's latest poll, 76% of Wisconsinites say they believe the costs outweigh the benefits. And that includes a majority of Democrats, independents, and Republicans. You've all outlined varying plans on how you would approach the boom in data centers, from new regulations to construction moratoriums. State lawmakers recently attempted to pass a series of regulations, but they failed to pass the full legislature. If lawmakers can't agree, and if you believe in local control, what really can you do as governor, Mr. Crowley?
Well, one, we need to, it's unfortunate that the legislature actually left session without actually putting any guardrails in place. And so as governor, we need to make sure that we're protecting ourselves from the data centers that are currently here. I do have the same concerns that many folks have across this state, but I think a moratorium, a short-term moratorium, doesn't address the long-term concerns that we have. And so as governor, we will make sure that we hold these data centers accountable, that they pay for the energy use, they pay for the grid upgrades, and they bring the Beyonce approach, bring your own new clean energy. We need these data centers to be as close to 100% renewable energy as much as possible. But they can go anywhere in this country. But we have to understand that our clean air, our clean water, it doesn't stop at the borders of Wisconsin. And so as county executive, we have put in place a climate action plan to reduce our carbon emissions, and we're 50% of the way there. And we need to make sure that we're having that same level of accountability here in the state of Wisconsin. But if they are going to be here, let's make sure we're utilizing union labor. Let's see project labor agreements, prevailing wage, and community benefit agreements across the entire state, because we're all going to be affected. And I believe they should be subsidizing our energy use if they're going to be here.
You said they could go anywhere. Do you want them here?
I couldn't hear you.
You said they could go anywhere. Do you want them here in Wisconsin?
Well, we need to make sure that we have a framework in place to protect ourselves moving forward, because right now we don't have anything right now with what's already here.
Ms. Hong, if lawmakers, they can't agree on any regulations, if you believe in local control, what can you really do as governor?
I introduced the legislation that puts a moratorium on the construction of new AI data centers, and I would call a special session into play so that the legislature can take up that legislation or the other Democratic legislation that had been introduced by my colleagues, and yet Robin Voss ended session early. I think it's important that we have enforceable regulation, that we bring union workers to the table, that this is very similar to what I believe could be seen as more collective bargaining, to make sure that we're protecting union jobs and that
the green doesn't mean anything.
natural
It's just a color.
resources, we're letting some of the big tech companies know that they are not for sale. And until we fully fund the Department of Natural Resources and we have the actual regulations to hold polluters accountable, that we are including in the Public Service Commission, different types of phases where we have stricter legislation and clear definitions.
You know why the right will always lose? I can't listen to these morons. Do you want to know why the right does not understand what the left believes? I can't listen to these morons. Do you want to know why the right is completely unhinged from reality when it comes to understanding the left? I can't listen to these morons. Guys, this is why we do not give people on the right things to do to fight the left. Because every time conservatives come into my chat and they say, okay, Karlyn, how do we fight the left? I say, shut the fuck up and listen to what they're saying and learn. And conservatives then say, no, Karlyn, what do we really do? Like, what do we do after we learn? And I say, shut the fuck up, listen and learn. Conservatives do not want to shut the fuck up and fucking listen to the enemy they claim to be fighting. And because conservatives don't fucking listen, they don't actually understand anything about the enemy that they're fighting. Be a fucking adult. Put on your big boy pants and do the thing you don't want to do. And if you are unwilling to listen to the left and to learn what they actually believe and learn what they're actually saying and learn what they're actually doing and learn how they're actually organizing instead of just making shit up on the internet all day, every day, if you are unwilling to shut the fuck up and listen, then you will lose and it will be your fucking fault and I will not feel sorry for you.
Of how data centers can actually move forward. This moratorium is necessary so that we can responsibly and put in enforcement mechanisms to protect communities. And seeing local governments already put moratoriums into play, we want people to have local control.
Hey, Tom, what's the left's definition of capitalism? We don't need to listen to them. We know everything already. Tom, what's the left's definition of capitalism? Go. Stopping the entire stream just for you, Tommy boy. What is the left's definition of capitalism? Let's see how much you know about the enemy you claim to be fighting. What is the left's definition of capitalism? We're waiting. Easy answer for people who know everything. Nope. No. No. Want to try again? Want to try again, Tommy? You know everything about the left. You don't need to listen and learn. You know everything. You want to try again? It's 3 words, Tom. We're waiting. We're waiting, Tommy. You know everything. You don't need to shut the fuck up and listen. We are waiting for your answer. Tom's answer may have been close, but it is not complete, and that is what is important. Because Tom doesn't fully understand what he's fucking talking about. We're waiting for your answer, bro. No time for AI. Answer the question or I'm permanently banning you in the chat. Tom, I don't want you fucking Googling. I don't want you AIing that shit and pretending you know shit you don't know. Answer the question, admit you don't know, or I will permanently ban you. He's fucking AIing right now. He's fucking Googling is what he's doing. Doesn't know the fucking answer, and now he's running to cheat. Because that is what conservative retards always fucking do. We are waiting, Tom. I'm giving you 20 more. Oh, okay, so answer the fucking question then. You're not Googling? Answer the fucking question right now in the chat. Either answer the question or admit you don't know. If you don't do one of those 2 things, Tom, I'm going to permanently ban you from the chat. Now he's deflecting. We're waiting, Tom. We're waiting. You know everything. This should be easy. You don't need to listen to the left. This should be easy. We're waiting for your answer. Ban you? Okay. Bye. Bye. See, guys, we have to gatekeep the community. We have to gatekeep the community from losers like Tom, who would rather be permanently banned from our community than to admit that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. People like Tom cannot be taught. People think I'm too mean and I should allow people to be retards in my chat. People like Tom, who doesn't want to admit that he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, they cannot be taught. They do not want to listen. They do not want to learn. What we must do is banish them and gatekeep them the fuck out of our spaces, because they will only ever be a problem. Thank you, Malcolm, for the super chat. As a recovering magatard, I will say that learning the left's language hasn't been easy, but the willingness to open your mind and take in what Dr. KB teaches us is crucial. I so appreciate that, Malcolm. Thank you so much for your ongoing support, bro. It means the world.
But we also want to make sure that there are the guardrails, the legal resources, and that if data centers are going to come here in our state, that they pay their own way and actually pay up front. And I think it's important to say that, you know, the data centers that currently exist in our state, you know, there is a sales tax exemption with over $2.1 billion that could go back into infrastructure for clean, renewable energy, green union jobs.
Thank you. Mr. Brennan, if lawmakers can agree and you believe in local control, what can you do to address the boom in data centers?
3 words to start with: get new lawmakers. That's why the stakes are so important this year. That's why we need a nominee who's going to win down ballot and make sure we can have a majority in the state assembly and the state senate. Once we do that, you know, what people think about when they think about data centers, they are angry. They're angry because government has failed them. The state got into the data center game and they put no guardrails on. And, you know, I have not called for a moratorium, but I have said that I would put a pause on the construction of new data centers, not for a year, but in the first 100 days, we can do 4 things. We can make sure that nobody watching tonight pays for the construction, the operation, the transmission, the ultimate retirement of these. Make sure that there are real teeth in the environmental regulations, making sure that they're having to do renewables. Make sure that there are Wisconsin union workers who are building these if they happen here. And number 4, make sure that there are never going to be the non-disclosure agreements that are the reason why people don't trust government, why they're so angry about these things. If we can demonstrate in that first 100 days, and there's good legislation that's gone through 12 drafts, and Democrats and Republicans both, and stakeholders have had involvement in that. If we can do that in the first 100 days, it's not going to make everybody happy, but it's going to set the bar and take away that uncertainty and take away another reason why people distrust government and why they're so angry. Like that's, I think, what governing is.
Mr. Barnes.
So as a governor, the response has to be bigger than buzzwords. Now, I do think that there should be no new data center construction without those guardrails in place. If a community rejects a data center proposal, then there should be no new data center constructed. And with the guardrails, with the framework that protects our natural resources, that makes sure that water quality, air quality is protected, that also makes sure that people's utility rates aren't increasing. If that framework is in place, it also needs to be retroactively applied to existing data centers. And we also have to have a renewable energy mandate to make sure that they are contributing energy back to the grid. And I want us all to, you know, caution, especially, you know, because I do, again, no new data center construction without those guardrails in place. But even as the representative mentioned, in urban Milwaukee, it was reported that a full data center moratorium may face legal repercussions. Those were the words of the representatives, not mine. And it is important for us to empower the Department of Natural Resources to make sure that they have the funding to engage in the ongoing quality monitoring of these data centers to ensure that they aren't negatively impacting air or water quality.
Mr. Barnes, thank you. Ms. Royce.
Something that none of my colleagues have mentioned, even though we are all running for governor, is using executive power against the existing projects that are under construction and were put under construction over the strenuous objections of those communities. We have a Department of Natural Resources that should be protecting our air and our soil and our water. We have a Public Service Commission that needs to be much more aggressive about making sure that the big guys are not asking.
Yeah, this is actually about the best way to sum it up. Yeah. The right has been losing to the left for generations, and suddenly they think that Trump is going to save them. Yeah. Yeah. They really do, guys. Like, magatards believe they're going to win the midterms. Magatards believe that There's nothing that's going to happen in November that's going to stop Trump. MAGA-tards believe that Trump has gotten DEI out of school, which is complete and total bullshit. MAGA-tards believe that we're actually doing mass deportations when we're just provably not. MAGA-tards believe that it is in America's best interest to be at war with Iran because Israel said so. Like, I mean, the things that MAGA-tards believe, like, they are being made retarded by their own media.
Asking us to subsidize them. I have put forth the strongest legislation and the strongest plan of the candidates in this race to actually address and stop the unregulated development of data centers, because I believe the status quo is totally unacceptable. The moratorium bill has very little support and is unlikely to pass, but the strong regulation bill that many of my colleagues have described is poised to pass in January. But I will not stop there. I will also establish a public negotiating team so that any community that decides it would like to engage with a data center has the opportunity to have expert negotiators. I will increase shared revenue so that communities don't feel desperate like they have to. I will also end the subsidies for data centers because they should be paying us and not the other way around. And when a community decides, yes, we've reached agreement, I will charge an upfront fee that they will pay to the state on the order of hundreds of millions of dollars to finance a clean infrastructure public bank.
I apologize if I cut you off here. We are kind of running up against time. Everything you've talked about tonight relies on a democratically controlled legislature. Ms. Hong, what happens if there's a divided government or Republicans control the legislature and your governor?
You know, I have passed bipartisan legislation, the one where it would require K-12 schools to teach Asian American history. So much of working in government has to do with building strong relationships, and I have done that with Republicans. I am willing to work with anyone at the table who wants to actually deliver for working class families and improve lives and work on policies that are going to be deliverables. And I believe that shared revenue, healthcare, and public education are three areas and some of my top priorities where Republicans have shown some support. And I've talked to them about these issues. And so I believe that even with the split legislature, my focus and my leadership will ensure that we are governing to actually deliver for working class families across the state.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. How do you get anything done with Republicans?
Well, I can tell you that's why this race is so important. That's why rejecting this broken system matters so much. That's why rejecting the status quo is so important when people go to cast a ballot. Look, we'll never be as bold as we need to be as a state if we continue down this path that we've been going. And it's been mentioned that the county executive had his campaign resurrected by special interests in a dark room with people with their thumb on the scale. This means things will always be the same with that sort of leadership. We should be asking for more. We should be demanding more. And if we lead with a bold platform, we implement a mandate. We have a mandate to govern in the interest of people in a way that we have never done before. And that's what this race is about.
Thank you, Mr. Crowley. How do you work with Republicans? Get anything done?
You know, I served in the state legislature like many of my colleagues here, but none of them have actually run local government. You know, I'm the county executive of the largest community. And when I was elected in 2020, we had to work to get Act 12 passed. And we worked with Democrats and Republicans, and we've done it in Republican-controlled legislatures, and I do believe that we'll get a lot more done.
Thank you. Believe it or not, it is now time for closing statements. We
Closing
did choose
statements,
randomly
thank God.
with the campaigns
have a
present to
suitcase to
determine
pack.
the order.
Each candidate will have 30 seconds for a final thought, and we will begin with Mr. Brennan.
Thank you very much. While you've seen differences amongst us today, we have a common threat. It's losing to Tom Tiffany and Donald Trump. And the stakes have never been higher. We can build 100,000 new homes. We can expand Badger Care. We can stop having property taxpayers pitted against kids in Wisconsin, but we have to win in order to do that. For 25 years, I have been somebody who has solved problems. I'll be a governor who's more interested in results than rhetoric. I hope that I can get your support on August 11th and November 3rd. Thanks for tuning in tonight.
Mr. Crowley.
I want to first and foremost thank our moderators for hosting us, and I want to thank all of you who are tuning in today. You know, my story is like Wisconsin's story. I grew up learning the values of hard work, resilience, and to stand up when somebody tries to knock you down. But people all across this state are struggling every single day, and I know what that feels like. They need a governor who's going to deliver for them on day one. And that's why I have received the endorsements of folks like Tony Evers, Governor Evers, our labor unions, and folks all across our state, because they know I will be delivering the results that's going to make a great impact. I look forward to having your vote on August 11th.
Ms. Royce.
All of us on this stage are good people. For 25 years, I have been turning the good ideas that we've shared into state law in the toughest of political environments. I've stood up to bullies and billionaires just like Donald Trump, and I will never stop fighting to build the Wisconsin that all of us deserve, working alongside you as I have throughout my career. We need all hands on deck in this high stakes moment to protect our rights and freedoms, to deliver healthcare for all, and to make sure that every child has a great public school. I ask for your vote on August 11th.
Mr. Barnes.
To everybody watching at home, I want you to know that the establishment is trying to rig this election. They want you to choose between their preferred candidate, and also Republican billionaires are lining up to the tune of $3.5 million to choose a Democratic nominee in this race. I'm here to say that's BS. I've been a progressive fighter who's taken on the tough fights, but also the only candidate on this stage who's actually defeating Tom Tiffany, according to the most recent Marquette poll. We can get things done, but it starts on August 11th. I'm asking for your support so that we can go into November
Thank you,
with the
Sinbad.
strength,
I
and that we
appreciate
can go
that.
into January with the mandate to govern in the interest of people.
Ms. Hall.
Thank you so much to the viewers this evening. I am your fighter, fighting alongside you and fighting for you. And this is a movement moment. Our campaign is one that has built a bipartisan coalition where we have reached voters in every part of the state. Republicans, independents, Democratic Socialists, and Democrats. They have come together and already uniting. We are already beating Tom Tiffany, whether it comes to the number of donors, whether it comes to the number of individual donations. I think it's time for this moment of unity, and I'm the leader to meet that moment.
That was quick, and we did it. We made it. Our sincere thank you to the candidates this
Got
evening
that,
for
Sin.
being here
Thank
tonight,
you.
and thank you
Appreciate
to
it.
everyone watching at home.
If you missed any part of tonight's debate, it will be available on the 12 News app.
Okay. She's gonna win. One in the chat if you think that the DSA candidate Francesca Hong is absolutely going to win the Democratic nomination for governor of Wisconsin. 2 in the chat if you think one of the other people are going to win. Either one of the black guys or one of the white guys. Or white women, I guess. Either one. It's either like it's going to be Francesca Hong. The black men are not going to win. The white people aren't going to win. It's going to be Francesca Hong. She is going to be the Democratic nominee for governor of Wisconsin. And when she wins that nomination, the DSA is going to do every fucking thing they can to get her elected. They are going to come to Wisconsin. They are going to knock on doors. They are going to make phone calls from all over the fucking country. They are going to fundraise for her. They are going to bring their electoral machine to Wisconsin because they are going to take over a fucking state. And the Republicans are not going to see it coming at all. And they're going to say, there's no way she could win. She's a socialist. No one's going to vote for a socialist. Watch and see what's going to happen, guys. The Republicans are going to do exactly what they did with Zohran Mamdani. Does everyone remember right after Zohran Mamdani won the mayor's nomination in New York City? It was Republicans saying, they're not going to vote for a socialist. Then he's not going to win. There's no way Mamdani's going to win for months. And I was over here going, Mamdani's actually going to win because they have a ground game. Does everyone remember when they tried to convince you that Zohran Mamdani didn't have a shot in New York City? They're going to do exactly the same thing with Francesca Hong. Fucking clip this shit. Clip me saying this right now. Because when she wins and Republicans start saying, there's no way she's going to win the governorship. There's no way. No one's going to vote for a socialist. You have to be crazy to vote for a socialist. The exact same playbook that got rolled out with Zohran Mamdani is going to get rolled out with Francesca Hong because they have literally learned fucking nothing. They have learned fucking nothing about why the DSA is winning in elections. They convince themselves it's some secret conspiracy theory. George Soros, Neville Singham in the CCP. Now Marco Rubio's telling everyone these people are funded by fucking Cuba, which is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. Republicans are going to lie to themselves. They're going to lie to their audience. This can't happen in Wisconsin. We're definitely going to win. Only crazy people would vote for a socialist. And then Francesca Hong is going to run all around Wisconsin going, I'm going to make things more affordable for you. We're going to make things more affordable. and we're going to take care of you have your kitchen table issues. In fact, let me pull this up. Just moments ago, I saw and bookmarked on Instagram a video of Francesca Hong talking about winning over MAGA voters. Watch. Hang on, we need volume.
You're hearing from people who voted for Trump who are supporting you?
Correct. We're bringing in Democrats, democratic socialists, independents, folks who voted for Trump in 2024, maybe even 2016. My principles are rooted in democracy, fairness, human rights, fair health care. They want affordable childcare in their communities. People need to see themselves in a vision that politicians are running on. Folks are resonating with our message for bold change, taxing the billionaires, ensuring that our small businesses aren't paying more in taxes than corporations, that we're eliminating corporate subsidies, we're taking on corruption, where a Republican-led legislature is focusing on special interests and their donors as opposed to working class people across the state. They're frustrated with the status quo and both parties. Our campaign is meeting the moment by building a movement, and we're running on permanent affordability to actually address the rising stresses and the cost of working class people here in the state. We're running on permanent affordability.
You're hearing from
permanent affordability. They're going to flip MAGA voters, guys. Tom Tiffany is funded by fucking AIPAC. You just lost every potential voter for the Republicans who do not support the war in Iran because Tom Tiffany's funded by AIPAC. So they're not going to fucking vote for him. And then you got Francesca Hong running around saying, we're going to make things more affordable. 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 Permanent affordability. We're going to take care of your kitchen table issues. We're going to make life better for you. We're going to focus on giving you resources so that your life can be easier and your kids' life are going to be easier. And we're going to give your kids free lunch in school. And I'm sorry, like, she is going to win, and she is going to win over MAGA voters. They're already doing it. They're already doing it. So I'm going to Madison tomorrow. I am leaving in the morning. I'm going to be flying all day. It's going to be super fun. And I am going to Madison tomorrow. I do not know if I will be streaming tomorrow. It really depends. If I do stream, it will be later in the day because I have to get my ass out to Madison and then, probably take a shower and possibly a nap. But I may not stream tomorrow just because I may actually just be super tired. So we're going to see. Keep an eye on things. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you turn on notifications. You can also follow my Telegram if you want notifications when I go live. That is t.me/decode the left. Let me put the link in the chat. t.me/decode the left. Follow that. I always send out a notification when I go live on Telegram so that you can just turn notifications on Telegram for my channel and you will be notified when I go live, because YouTube doesn't always like to notify people and neither does Rumble, and that's just the way that goes. Would Venmo money help? No, I mean, listen, Malcolm, I so appreciate the offer. I so appreciate the offer. You guys have been super generous in your funding over the last couple of days. Between yesterday and today, we have raised enough money for the Karlyn Needs a Security Detail Fund. So I don't need any additional on Venmo, but I do appreciate the offer, Malcolm. Certainly, if you guys want to send me money on Venmo, I will have a beer in your name and cheers in your honor, but you don't have to. Okay. You truly don't have to. You guys have done me a solid. I really, really appreciate it. We brought in 101 new channel members today. People also sent in a whole bunch of super chats, including Trendolin, who's going to make me pay for those, not literally, but figuratively. W's to you, Jump the Shark. Really do appreciate that. And because you guys are so generous in your support on an ongoing basis, that is the reason I have the resources to pick up and go to Wisconsin on a moment's notice. Listen, trips like this, even without having a beefy gentleman follow me around to make sure I don't get the shit kicked out of me, trips like this are extremely expensive. they cost thousands of dollars regardless of if I have security or not. They cost in airfare, they cost in hotels, they cost in food, they cost I have to rent a car, all the other like things that you have to do something like this. It just costs money, and that's just the way it is. My average trip costs probably roughly around $3,000 to do. So, and all of this comes out of my pocket. So I want people to know that the reason I'm able to do this, and that doesn't count the security, by the way, the security is extra on top of that. So I want people to know the reason I'm able to do this is because of my community. I have the best community on the internet. I'm completely independently funded. When you guys send in super chats, channel memberships, become supporters on Substack or Twitter or whatever platform you want to. When you buy merch in the merch store, you are funding my ability to do this and to show you guys what's going on and to spend my time teaching people on the internet as much as I possibly can about what I believe is an existential crisis in this country. So I will always show up for you when you show up for me. I so appreciate that you guys let me do this. Thank you for funding the trip. Thank you for funding the security. I will catch up with you guys on the flip side when I'm in Madison, Wisconsin. Thank you for everything you guys do. I can't thank you enough. It's just fucking awesome. And I appreciate it. I'll see you guys soon. Have a good one.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here? 3 months, May 17th. And what brought you? That's difficult to answer. playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital.
That's difficult to answer.